for Super Week.
Super Week.
The really big game, and it's going to be super, and it's going to be awesome, and, all those things.
Coming to you not live from Radio Row.
No.
Thankfully.
Nor are we authorized in any way to say anything other than the big game or whatever.
No, you can call it Super Bowl.
Well, not in conjunction with any sort of advertising. Like, we can't have
not with our partners.
Not with our partners.
Right.
So that's why it's like super duper big week.
That's right.
You can't call it the other.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the NFL will come at you.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I was talking to somebody in Vegas who said, it's crazy when they first got to Vegas, you couldn't mention gambling in the NFL together.
Any sport.
Or they would come after you.
Yeah.
And now it's like...
Yeah. It's funny how things change.
Yeah. Quickly.
Right? Yeah. Well, I remember back in the day, everything from the NBA had a weed crisis for a while. The whole Damon Stoudemire yellow Hummer. About life comes at you fast. Weed was a big deal in the NBA, and gambling was like the worst thing that you could do when talking about sports.
Did you know that the NFL used to, I don't know how many people know this. I mean, obviously they would not allow any sorts of gambling references in any of their ads,
No.
Did you know that you couldn't even mention Las Vegas?
Really?
In their ads?
Couldn't even bring it up?
Nope. They wanted no mention of it. Not touching it.
You still...
And now, look, the game is in Vegas.
In Vegas with a sports book attached to it. The NFL media zone that they put together for all the people coming in to cover this, there's slot machines in the media zone, and they're NFL slot machines.
Are you serious?
Someone made NFL slot machines and put them in the media circus.
Casino?
I don't know where the headquarters is.
That's genius.
That I'm not certain of. I don't even know, to be honest with you, if it's in a casino. It might be in a convention space. But, at every one of those big events, they have a media... I guess it is usually a media hotel, but there's a media center. And yeah, if you look at it, it's kind of crazy that it looks like a casino floor with, the idea of like Peter King, like going in and putting a 20 spot into the NFL slot machine, like while riding Monday morning quarterback. Come on, Peter needs some new shoes.
Do you think that, usually we're worried about a player going ham?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pre-Super Bowl?
Sure.
I.e. Barrett Robbins or...
I mean, that's the legendary.
Eugene Robinson.
Yeah. He got NFL Man of the Year getting a hooker like the night before the game.
Will we read, by the end of this week, will we be reading about a media member having gone ham?
Boy,
and,
that's
passed out on top.
Somebody's going ham. I don't know if it's media.
Someone.
It could be. What was it? Who was the dude? I think the Arizona Cardinals had someone get sent home from Mexico for being involved in something.
Coach.
Yeah, it was their coach.
Yeah, it was their assistant.
Their offensive line coach again got caught with.
Could be a personnel
professionals
type individual, but someone's getting caught up in it.
I think it's the media. It's going to be a media guy.
There has to be,
and that's
right?
possible too.
What about Portnoy? Is he there? That guy's an animal.
I think they're barred from. He specifically is barred from that. Get dragged out of one of the Super Bowls.
Yeah, the last Patriots Super Bowl, they drug him out. Like,
why don't they like him?
Well, he takes personal shots, and he's got like a vendetta against Roger Goodell.
Yeah,
so
he and a couple other dudes did a sit-in in the NFL league offices, and they refused to leave until the cops took him away in handcuffs.
They put Portnoy like on the ban list. Well, Dave, I think this was at the. Was it either the Brady Bucks, the last one, or it might have been when they beat the Falcons? It was one of those Brady Super Bowls.
Yeah, it was semi-recent though.
Yeah, and so he was sitting up high, and he was wearing like the Bobby Valentine glasses and mustache. And the NFL security comes and is like, "Sir, you come with us." And Portnoy's like, "Who's this Dave Portnoy guy?" He's like, "I'm not going anywhere." And he went like little kid dead weight, and he made the NFL security literally drag him out of the stadium.
So what's his beef with the NFL?
He hates Roger Goodell over Spygate and Deflategate and all that.
Because he's a Boston guy?
Yeah, he's a Boston guy, so he thinks that the NFL is out to get the Patriots, and he hates Goodell.
Except the Patriots won 6 Super Bowls.
No, it was specifically in response to the Brady suspension with the Deflategate that he really lost it, and basically he started calling out Goodell by name, doing these sit-ins in his office and stuff like that.
Yeah, he did office sit-ins. He was selling shirts with Goodell's face, but just a clown nose on it.
I think he gave away enough for every single person at Foxborough on opening night to have a Goodell clown T-shirt.
He's not there? He's not in Vegas?
I think he's banned.
Will they not let him even in the city for the Super Bowl?
Well, he's in Vegas, but I don't think he's allowed in the game.
So my money would be on him maybe McAfee. I could see McAfee going wild.
I just, I think a lot of those people,
they keep it buttoned up.
Well,
what if Dan Patrick has a bender?
That'd be amazing. What was it, Russillo that got naked in someone's, Ryan Russillo, I don't remember where it was at, but he got all housed.
Somewhere kind of obscure, like Montana or something.
It was like he was on vacation or whatever. He got all housed, got naked, and went into the wrong house and got in someone's bed. Which to this day, just...
The naked part? Is that...
Well...
Like, what's that about?
Well, look, I'm if I have a lot to drink, there's a good chance that my shirt's coming off and then maybe my pants, but...
So is it easier to be naked housed or in someone else's house housed? Like, what...
It's much easier to get naked. That's easier. Like, woo! But to go into something... Like, I am often fascinated how you can get that drunk. We've all been there where you're like, I think I'm going to die. I've never ended up naked, and I certainly have never ended up in someone else's house. It just baffles me. And you have to have like some guardrails. You don't have a buddy there that's like, dude, like, and how do you even get to that person's house?
They've probably all abandoned him.
I guess.
At this point, they're like, I ain't messing with Ryan when he's drunk.
You're like, I'm on. So that means we could have something like that.
Yeah. Russillo?
Sapp got caught, I think, in Vegas with a hooker. He got busted with that.
I don't think I think the players they're too savvy now.
I'll tell you what, though, if it's a media member, it'll be an ex-player.
What about Irvin? Michael Irvin.
100%. That's what I'm saying. Ex-player covering the game. Someone like that.
Wasn't it last year's Super Bowl that he kind of got in some trouble with a hotel staff member?
Yeah,
that's right.
He got sent home, right?
Accused him of...
some inappropriate...
making advances that she didn't want.
Yeah. Look, something's going to happen. There's no way you have the Super Bowl, everything goes along with it, and you put it in Vegas and nothing happens?
Maybe Barkley.
It's possible.
Maybe Charles Barkley.
Something's going to go down. 100%. Or then, of course, you always have Ray Lewis. Whoops.
Whoa, what do you mean?
Ray killed a guy. Allegedly.
He's not a murderer. So they say.
He might be.
Someone.
I'm not allowed to say that.
I'm not allowed to say it either. All I know is that someone died and Ray knows what happened. And we're also missing a white mink full-length coat that no one knows whatever happened.
It's got blood on it.
Well, I don't know. We've never found that coat, have we? But it's okay because he loves Jesus and he gives great inspirational speeches, and that he does. You get a chance to listen to Ray Lewis give you a pregame, watch that. Just don't piss him off if you're out and about. Apparently not the guy that you want to tangle with.
I've always thought people that handle their booze like Ryan Russillo, that's just the telltale sign that you're a person who should not drink under any circumstances.
100%.
Because most people don't get that way.
No.
Even like you said, even when you have too much, you have somewhat of your faculties.
You should never get there.
When you get to that point, dude, that's a look in the mirror.
Yeah, that's when you need to realize.
Your body just doesn't.
Yes. As much as you think this is fun, there's just certain things that your body can't handle.
You're on another level.
Yeah, you switch to something else, man.
It's like me playing football.
My
body couldn't handle it, and I recognize that.
It's not meant for it. And you made the smart decision.
That's right.
You made the smart decision.
And now look at me, golfing.
and you're better for it. You're absolutely better for it.
Well, you would think, low-key fun fact, in sports radio, February is a little bit of a down month.
Yeah, I mean, outside of
the Super Bowl.
We got this, then we'll spend 3 or 4 days talking about this, and then after that.
But I got to tell you, I got a lot in the notes today.
Yeah? You got hot flap news?
There's a lot of stuff. Flap? What do you mean?
Well, Dusty and Danny were talking about flaps.
Oh, the Embiid thing?
We got hot. I came in, I was like, I like that hot flap
What
talk
does that mean? Like, he's got a tear
in his meniscus, and it's flapped. It's like it's folded over. There's a flap hanging in the breeze.
All right.
And then
who cares? It's a meniscus tear.
But the Sixers were denying that it was a tear. They were saying it was a flap, but you can't get the flap without having the meniscus tear. It's like,
oh God.
Well, it's another one of those teams that something got leaked and they didn't like it, and so then they had. Remember the Blazers did this?
Gotta control everything.
Gotta control everything. It's not a flap. It's not a tear. It's a flap.
Only we know. Only we put out the truth.
Exactly.
Our alternative facts.
He ain't going anywhere.
It's a flap, not a tear.
He's not going to be on the court anytime soon. So,
guys, move on.
We have that. I got hot Terry Porter news.
Yeah, I have that penciled in for in the news.
Yeah, I went.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you get in?
No.
Yeah. Told you.
I will admit right now.
Okay.
Not only was I incorrect, you were right. So
times
far,
a
at times a million.
Okay, so what we were talking about on Friday was the Terry Porter estate sale.
Uh-huh.
And, you were wondering, like, why would anyone show up to that? And I was like, dude, that is going to be a zoo.
Yeah.
And you are not going to get in because you will not wait in line.
I was like, yeah, whatever.
And you're like, oh, come on. I can't see anybody showing up to buy his crap.
Because it was like, a
lot of it was.
Yeah.
But that's but it's Terry Porter. So I'm like, dude, there are going to be hundreds of people there.
I thought there'd be some people, but whatever.
How many people do you think were there?
A couple hundred. Now, to be fair, I was going to go on Sunday, and I ended up being out on Saturday kind of morning, early afternoon. So I thought,
went by.
So I was like, yeah. So I looked up, you get the address. It was like the website. They didn't release it, the address till later. So I got the address, and it was only it was less than 10 minutes from where I was at. So I was like, oh, I'll cruise by. And I thought to myself, I get it. Saturday, I was planning on going Sunday. And so I knew there would be a little bit of line. So I was like, yeah, if you give me like a 20-minute wait, I'll wait 20 minutes to kind of cruise in. Oh my God. There were several hundred people.
So did you see the line and then just walk away?
I just drove away.
Oh, because then you couldn't park.
I didn't park. Dude, it was Thunderdome.
Were they bussing people up there?
No, not that I saw. There was just this massive it was a massive humanity. It's a nice place. It's
well, of course it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, it's
Dunthorpe, man.
Yeah.
It's nice up there.
Yeah, it's this nice place.
I mean, Terry Porter has some dough.
I don't spend a lot of time in that area. I don't think they
there's really no reason to go up there unless you're rich.
Yeah. But I'm not.
If you've ever been up there, I went once. I think it was like to see a buddy of mine. A buddy of mine's a builder.
Yeah.
And he was building a house up there, and I went up there.
I
was like, wow.
Yeah.
You got a good life, man.
So does Terry Porter. But
I wonder well, I've been looking for follow-ups to that today, and I just can't find they aren't releasing how it went.
I did see some people that were tweeting me things that they bought at the estate sale. Because I was joking that I was going to come by, and then I was like,
but you weren't joking.
No, I made the attempt, and I don't know what the line was. There was a couple people on Twitter that were going back and forth with me. One guy said that he waited for about 2 hours
to get in.
And
he got in,
and he was there early. And
did he make it in there?
Yeah, he made it in there.
Okay.
2 hours. So I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. Why? I just saw the massive humanity and just started laughing. Yeah. And I will say that was the very first thing that went through my head was, Rob is smart. I am dumb. And I'm gonna be leaving now.
Thank you.
But it's nice house, like white. It's got like the big columns in front.
Could you clip that? There's a nice little. Nice.
I'll make sure we get that.
Yeah, please do. Thank you.
One of the guys that sent me something. Terry Porter apparently big into portable air conditioners. There was like 7 of them for sale.
Really?
Yeah, portable AC units.
Like window units, or just ones you standalone on the ground?
They standalone. Yeah, I got a photo of it. Yeah, just a bunch of portable AC units. Yeah. Some other guy that was tweeted at me. He bought some shoes and like a college playbook.
Cool.
And some monogrammed
what
towels.
College? From UP?
No, the Wisconsin, was it, or Stevens Point, right?
Oh.
Stevens Point where he went?
Okay.
Oh, stuff like that. And he bought a pair of Vans. He bought a pair of red Vans.
They fit him?
Yeah.
Terry Porter size?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing when you're rich, I was thinking about your 7 ACs.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you're rich, what happens is
I'm really rich.
You can't, like, your AC can still go out just like us poors.
Sure.
But when it does, you just have a garage full of portable ACs.
Ready to go.
That's your solution. Like, you and I probably wouldn't afford that, or we couldn't store those. Yeah. It's like but when you're rich, I bet that's how you do it.
Yeah.
And he probably has the same for heaters.
It's just he's ready to go.
So every room can get its own.
I really did. I wanted to walk through and see what it was about, but my God, the level of patience that you have to have to sit in a line. Like, what am I going to Disneyland? No, we're not doing that.
No, man,
yeah, you were right.
I told you.
You were right.
He's a big deal.
Yeah, he was.
And if that's any other estate sale, it's not like that.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Terry Porter?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
There was a lot. Like, you could tell just as you're trying to make your way up there, it was a scene. It was a
lot of Blazer jerseys.
It was just a full-on scene. And just there.
Meanwhile, Terry Porter, nowhere to be found. No. People just giving him money for his junk. No. God, smart. I'm telling you, that was smart.
Yeah.
What he did was smart. I don't know where he's moving to.
Don't know.
But he and his wife, brilliant.
But if you go to like Twitter and you do type in Terry Porter, people were posting some of the stuff they bought, and it's not anything.
Little salt and pepper shaker.
It's just
the Terry Porter Premium.
strange things, I guess.
All right. Well, anyway. Okay. Well, we got that in.
I tried.
We got that in.
And I failed miserably.
Yeah, we were going to follow up on that for In the News.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Well, I will tease this by telling you there is one area, since I was so right about that,
Yeah.
I do have to tell you I was wrong, at least in the court of public opinion, about something else that we debated on.
Oh, well,
Friday.
see, I like it. We were honesty. It's,
And I will reveal that later.
Right, we're wrong.
But let's start. We're going to start with our poll question. It pertains to quarterbacking and the Senior Bowl. Some of the reports coming out of the Senior Bowl, now that that's over. It is 3:15 on The Fan.
Yeah. The home of Dirt and Spray.
I'm Dirt.
Our guest is Brady Henderson of ESPN.
Taylor Swift props later this week. It's an exciting week. Right now, the AAA heating and cooling poll question on X at 1080 The Fan. Family business helping families for over 60 years. AAAIAQ.com. There is no poll question from Friday because I screwed it up.
Yeah, whiffed on it a little bit.
So we start anew this week. Today we're asking you which quarterback will be the best in the NFL. Michael Penix, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, or Jaden Daniels.
No Drake May, huh?
Oh, I know. Vote and vote hard. No.
Caleb. Pretty easy. Don't outthink the room.
Bo Nix is leading.
Bo Nix, by the way, supposedly had a terrible week at the Senior Bowl. So he played all right in the game, but yeah, it's shocking that in the 1080 The Fan poll question that Bo Nix is the one that's leading.
What are you saying?
There might be some bias there. He didn't. It's funny because after the Senior Bowl itself, that Penix didn't play. There was some positive stuff coming out of the game. But if you read any of the stuff, and again, take it for what it's worth, just different reporters. I didn't read really much positivity coming out about Bo Nix at all during the week.
Nor did I.
And that he hurt himself quite a bit.
As a matter of fact, they're saying for the draft, it'd be Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
The top three guys.
Yeah.
And none of them were in the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
The quarterback waters are getting quite murky.
Yeah.
Because Penix, they're saying while he was clearly the best quarterback that was at the Senior Bowl, he showed off his arm. The dude can spin it.
Yeah.
We already knew that about him.
Yeah.
The knocks on him, really weren't on display.
No, and he didn't really do anything to alleviate any of those concerns.
But Nix, they said, was uncomfortable all week.
Yeah. So.
And looked uncomfortable all week, and he missed a ton of throws. And they even said, I read a report where he didn't even display. They said that he didn't display much arm talent.
No, and so now you're going back. Unfortunately, he's going to face you were one thing at Auburn, and then you went to Oregon. How much of that was the system? And we love to bash guys for the system quarterbacks. Look, he's going to go, and he's going to get a shot. But it sure seems like middle of the year, there was a lot of top 10, top 12 stuff for Bo Nix. And now you're hearing end of the first round, second round sort of stuff. And he can turn that around, obviously, with pro days and all that. But again, all of this is just scouts and writers. But it doesn't sound like he really did a whole lot to help himself that week. But in situations like this, you don't outthink the room. Caleb Williams was viewed as a generational talent. And I didn't think he had a great year this year. I think he developed some really, really nasty habits. And I was pretty vocal about that as we watched the season progress. And I think there's a lot there that if you're an NFL team, it scares the hell out of you that he can't play like that. If he plays the way he did his senior year, especially the second half of the senior year, one, he's not going to survive. And two, it's going to be an unmitigated disaster. But when you hear guys like this, whether it's Andrew Luck, whether it's Trevor Lawrence, trying to think if there's anyone else that's come along in the last 10 or 15 years where it's like, hey, this is different. Those guys usually don't fail. They don't always live up to it. I think Lawrence still obviously has some questions, about what his long-term, ceiling is. But for the most part, guys like that don't bust very often. Burrow had a little bit of this, where it was like, dude, this guy isn't going to fail. And I think that's Caleb Williams. And doesn't mean it can't happen, but you don't outthink the room on that. There's a reason why people said what they said about Caleb. There's a reason why that his NFL comp at the highest is Patrick Mahomes. Not such a lofty one, but you do see some similarities in the way they play. And so you don't outthink the room. Now, I get it if you're Chicago and you decide you want to keep Fields, or you think that there isn't that much of a difference between the second quarterback and Caleb Williams. Because remember, it's not Caleb Williams or Drake May or Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. It's Caleb Williams versus one of those quarterbacks and probably 2 1s and 2 2s. Like that may change it a little bit, but no one's going ahead of Caleb Williams. I would be very surprised.
Quarterback to keep an eye on, apparently, made waves at the Super Bowl. The Senior Bowl. Gus Bradley's kid. Have you heard of Carter Bradley?
Carter Bradley. Yeah. I do not know of Carter Bradley, not Cardi B. I've heard of her.
That's a pretty good nickname for him.
Yeah, a little Cardi B.
Carter Bradley was the starter at South Alabama for like 1 year, but he's Gus Bradley's kid.
Okay, so he's the other quarterback. I did see some stuff about the South Alabama kid. I did not know that was Gus Bradley's kid.
Yeah, they said he was great. and he could sneak up draft boards. Also, Jackson Powers Johnson was one of the biggest winners of the Senior Bowl weekend.
Yeah, he was.
Even though he got hurt.
He got hurt.
He was dominating.
So he's the best center in the draft. Centers don't always go super high.
They said he was playing guard too.
Yeah. So going into this, there was an idea that is he a second day guy? Late first, early second, and I think on a lot of people's boards, he's cemented himself. One, he's an enormous human being, and I guess he was cleaning up in one-on-one drills, and he can play guard. He made himself a lot of money, and I mean a lot of money at the Senior Bowl.
All right. Oh, somebody text the Vancouver Ford text line, and you can too.
Yeah.
At 503-864-6326. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. VancouverFord.com. They said perhaps Nix is a candidate to go later, and that's good, right? Like later first round.
I mean, I suppose
that's good.
It's not good for your bank account.
No, but it gets him to a better situation.
But here's the thing: if you get past the first 5 or 6 picks, you're not going to garbage organizations. If Bo Nix was going 10th or 11th, I promise you'd rather go 10th or 11th than you would going 30th.
You know who picks 10th? Jets.
Well, you get to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a little bit, and see what happens.
8th is Atlanta.
I'm just saying, we love to do it's great that he fell in the draft. No, it's not. No one wants to fall in the draft.
Well, it is. No, it is good. And it's not to say that it's like the greatest thing, but it's a silver lining sort of thing.
Yeah, I guess.
If you get drafted by, I'm looking down here at the bottom of the draft, like Buffalo.
Yeah.
Or Detroit. Or Baltimore, that's good.
Okay. No, let me just say this: sitting behind Lamar Jackson for 5 years is not good.
What about Detroit?
I mean, I guess, although they're going to sign Goff to an extension this offseason.
What if you get drafted by Kansas City? I mean, come on.
That's awful.
This is great.
I'm never going to play. I think ideally where you want to end up is a place like, I'm trying to think.
Pittsburgh.
They
picked 20.
Pittsburgh. There you go. You're in a good organization. You're in theory, you get a good run game, right? There's stability there. That's where
Seattle 16.
Yeah. Well, we all know that mock drafts are never flawed. So Jeff Russ just came in here and mentioned to me that the Matt Miller mock draft that is just up has Bo Nix going 12th to the Broncos.
Okay, Denver. That's not a bad one.
See, I would love that too, because again, you got Sean Payton, who's a quarterback guy. I don't think you're necessarily going to get thrown into the fire right away, although Russ isn't going to be. There's no path. I mean, Jordan, think about how
they get hurt.
Look, think about how sketchy Jordan Love's situation is, right? We look at Jordan Love right now, and Jordan Love seems to have a very, very bright future. But Jordan Love had to take a bullcrap second contract, signed a 2-year because he hadn't played, and realized that Jordan Love, those first 7 games of the year, dude, Jordan Love was this close to getting flushed. If Jordan Love got hurt or something happened, Jordan Love may be done. You do not want to put yourself in a situation where you sit on the bench for 4 years and then you have 6 games to try to prove yourself. That ain't where you want to be.
Well, the alternative is you go to Arizona and flame out because they're just a bad franchise.
Yeah, the Rams would be another good one because Stafford, you would think, doesn't have 5 years left in him.
It could be a good one this year is New England because that's traditionally a good franchise.
Yeah.
But now they've got all new coaches.
Yes.
So that should be good.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, Belichick's the GOAT, but he's not anymore.
No.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
In other words, you don't want to go there with him.
Give me good organizations.
And that is a good organization.
Yes. I know it's weird because right now everyone's crapping on him, but absolutely. If you got taken by New England, you
don't want to go to the Giants.
You got Dable, but
no.
Hey, Dable.
No.
Again, Daniel Jones ain't going to be the guy there forever.
You don't want to go to Tennessee, do you? No. Atlanta, no.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Atlanta. I like Atlanta. Atlanta's a quarterback away, and again, pretty good ownership. I'd take Atlanta.
All right, vote on our poll question. It is on X at 1080 The Fan. Remember the days of having no idea who a team's coordinator was?
Yeah, those days are gone.
Correct.
They're the new rock stars.
Yeah, they are. Lots of coordinator news this weekend. We'll get to that next. Cheers, Buck.
This is a
To the Super Bowl, but we still have a bunch of coordinator vacancies and shifting going on.
I think the weirdest part about this whole thing is the Chip Kelly situation. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite like this.
Well, Chip Kelly wants out of UCLA.
Yes.
And the report now is that it was him that has been calling around the NFL like, hey, man, I'd kind of like to be your offensive coordinator.
Well, think about that.
And he's not getting any jobs, so he's going back to UCLA.
But, like, what do you... So
no one wants him.
UCLA is going to can his ass. And then, like, he beats USC, and they're like, well, we're not going to fire you. And then you get drubbed by Cal, of all people. And so they keep him around. He can't recruit. He doesn't want to recruit. He hates college. He hates kids. UCLA is on the hook. And then openly, he's just like, oh, and then they lose their defensive coordinator, which was the best part of their team, and they lose their defensive coordinator to USC. And
who's that?
Lynn's kid, Anthony Lynn's kid. Is it? It's what his first name? It's like Deant something Lynn.
He went from UCLA to USC.
Yeah.
I missed that.
You lose your defensive coordinator, one of the best young ones in college football, which again was the best part about your team. You lose the future of your team in Dante Moore, which you thought was like this great get. You lose him to Oregon, and now your coach is actively telling anyone who, by the way, he doesn't recruit anyways, and now he's telling everyone from kids to anyone that will listen, I don't want to be here at UCLA. Please get me out of here. I'd like to go to the NFL. But now the NFL doesn't want him, so now he goes back to UCLA and says what to the kids? Yeah, we're going to the Big Ten, and we're going to lose, and we're going to lose a lot. And I don't want to be here, and at the first chance I get, I'm going to leave. I'm sure that's going to help his bang-up recruiting rankings as it is. I mean, UCLA is screwed, but if he does leave, let's say he's like, all right, someone gives him a job. Cool. Hey, the transfer portal's open for anyone that wants to leave UCLA, and we can't bring any other good players in. Like, UCLA is effed at this point.
USC would clean up.
Yes.
At that point. Because they already have the defensive coordinator.
Yes.
So if Kelly left and the portal opened up, my God. Because UCLA has a pretty good defense, doesn't it?
Yes. Now, they lose some, like Latu was their big guy. He leaves. But, I mean, I'm just telling you right now, whatever the over-under is on UCLA football, dude, bet the under.
Well, he's been winning games there. I mean,
he's been okay. Not really.
Well, but he's better than you would think. Like with the way we talk about him, but I'm looking at the last 3 years, 8-4, 9-4, 8-5.
Yeah.
That's better than you would think. I mean, especially because when he took it over, I think his first season he won 3.
He is a game away every year from getting fired. And this is their schedule next year, by the way. Hawaii, whatever, and then Indiana. And then at LSU, Oregon, at Penn State, and then Minnesota, Rutgers, whatever, Nebraska, Iowa, Washington, USC. Like, they're just have fun.
Well, anyway, that is kind of a weird one.
Yeah.
You know, that his name started popping up, and I guess Florio said it's because he's calling around. Like, get me out of here.
Anybody? How do you go on, even if you're one of his other coaches and you're recruiting for UCLA, how do you answer that question?
I just don't think he cares.
No. And
he really doesn't.
And it's kind of, I think it's kind of pathetic.
It's like
have some balls and walk away.
Right. You're getting paid $6 million a year, dude.
Yeah. You don't want
There are a lot of guys that want that gig.
And you don't want it.
So you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying give it up, but at least hide your disdain for it.
Yeah.
You know?
At least Jim Harbaugh, like, one, Harbaugh was good. And 2, Harbaugh didn't make any, like, he just, you knew he was gone. And there was a plan. UCLA doesn't have a plan. It's a rudderless ship. Good thing they're going.
Well, I would say, in fairness to Chip, if we had him on and not had him on, but if we just talked to him, gave him, and he was being honest, he'd probably tell you a lot of things that.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
Yeah, about that university and how they handle their business that's kind of disenfranchised him.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't know what they're doing.
No, but at the same time, that is a guy that has a clear disdain for college football and the recruiting process, and he always has.
Good hire, UCLA.
Well, how can you be a college football coach and hate recruiting and hate dealing with kids? Like, that's like you ever meet that school teacher? You meet someone that's like that's teaching and they despise kids, and you're like, question, teach, maybe find something where you're not dealing with kids every day. People that work in retail that hate people in general, kind of a terrible fit. Salesmen that don't like to speak, that are kind of quiet and reserved. It's just,
doesn't work.
That doesn't really work.
But he's, like I said, 8-9 wins every year. I don't know. I guess he's sleepwalking his way to 9 wins.
Well, he's a smart guy and he's a good football coach. He just, he hates dealing with the part of the game that in college football you kind of have to have.
All right, up next, a couple things. One is what happened with Cliff Kingsbury?
Yeah.
He's hard to keep track of, that one. Hard to pin down.
He's the anti-Chip Kelly. Everyone wants him.
And I guess Ben Johnson, the OC of the Lions, there's some stuff coming out about what he called Commanders ownership that, it meant that he wasn't going to get that job.
You're not a good
ass.
Pretty wild. We'll get to those items and who the Seahawks and Huskies have hired as coordinators next on The Fan.
Play golf where it's always warm.
Oh, golly, I'm hot today.
1080 The Fan invites you to play in the first annual Fan Winter Golf Classic at X Golf Tualatin and X Golf Vancouver, Tuesday, February 27th. We have an early round and a late round at both locations. Danny and Dusty and Isaac and Souk will broadcast live. Fabulous prizes are on the line, including lessons for the worst team. Sign your
WarrenAllen.com.
On 1080 The Fan.
All right, back to hot coordinator news. I think it was Friday, might have been Thursday. We told you that the Raiders were hiring Cliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator.
Not so fast.
No, they're not.
Yeah, that was the report.
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah.
They fired him.
Or he decided thanks but no thanks.
Yeah, for whatever reason, they didn't get their deal done. And he is now the offensive coordinator of the Washington Commanders.
Yes. Now Eric Bieniemy is out of a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they're saying Eric Bieniemy could be a candidate in Seattle.
Yeah.
For the Seahawks offensive coordinator position, which I don't know. If I'm a Seahawks fan, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah, I don't know. He had that great experience there in Kansas City, and then he had to leave apparently to go run his own office because he wasn't getting any credit for the Andy Reid stuff. And then he got to Washington, and it didn't go so swimmingly. One, he doesn't have a quarterback, but at the start of the season, remember all the players came to the head coach and were bitching about Bieniemy. He just seems like a guy that, while he's talented, he may be his own worst enemy. I don't know what to fully make of Eric Bieniemy. I think the Washington thing was not a great success, and now wherever he lands next, wherever his next job is, I kind of feel like he's coaching for his career. I feel like the next stop is going to be a big one.
Well, there's obviously something up with him.
Yes.
Because he was the hottest thing, and now he's...
And there's some talk that maybe he would want to go try his hand at college. But, a couple years ago, there was an idea that a lot of the black NFL coaches were going to go to college because they didn't feel like they were getting opportunities in the NFL. And now it's flipped. One, there's a lot of minority hirings going on in the NFL, and seemingly everyone now wants to go from college to the NFL. So things change very, very quickly. Your reputation can go from sky high to in the mud, and the whole college NFL thing, it's a fickle business.
So does Kingsbury now land Caleb Williams in Washington?
Well, it depends on what Chicago wants to do. And we still don't know. Chicago holds the key to everything. If Chicago decides they want to take Caleb Williams, I'm sure if Chicago doesn't, or I guess that they're not completely sold on Caleb Williams, they're not going to let Washington know that. Washington isn't going to be able to take Caleb Williams at 2. If they want him, they got to move up to 1. And there's even some talk that Chicago would move back to 2 and then move back again and make another deal.
Don't they have 9 as well? The Bears?
I'd have to look it up. They've got more capital than they know what to do with. So
they picked 9th as well.
They picked 9th.
1st and 9th.
So you could move from 1st to 2nd and probably get 2 1s and at least a 2, at least to go from 2 to 1 with Washington. And then you either pick 2 and 9 and then still have those other picks, or there's some talk that they would move, from 2 back to 5 or 6 and let someone else come up and take May or Daniels or whoever it is and then stick with Justin Fields. Chicago's in the catbird seat, and this draft will all hinge on what Chicago wants to do, and we'll find out how close they play this to their chest, or if they let people know exactly what's going on.
What do you think they should do? Just take Caleb Williams and
I would
call it a day?
I think for Fields, you probably get a 2nd out of him, and then maybe a conditional 1. If they make the playoffs or whatever, there's certain metrics, you could get at least a 2, I would think, out of Justin Fields. And to me, to go 2 years in a row when you haven't had a quarterback in forever, and to me, Justin Fields is the definition of okay. I think it's malpractice to go 2 drafts in a row and not take a guy. Because here's the thing too, if you commit to Justin Fields, you're committing to him for a significant period of time, and you have all these assets that you're going to spend, these high picks, and you're going to build a nice team around him. Well, you're not going to be finishing in the top 3 or 4 to draft a quarterback, but if Justin Fields isn't the guy, welcome to Kirk Cousins territory then. We have this nice team and a quarterback that isn't good enough, and now you don't really have the assets to move back up and take another one. So, boy, you decide to stick with Justin Fields, you're putting your cojones on the chopping block and saying that Fields can get us there, and I don't believe he can.
Well, what if they don't do that, but they trade out of 1?
That's
and
fine.
Still take a quarterback.
That's fine.
Because Drake May or something.
Well, this is the one where I will never criticize a front office for this sort of thing, because we're going to sit here and we're going to say, well, Caleb Williams is a generational talent and no one, it's best since Andrew Luck and blah, blah. We don't know what Chicago thinks of him. We have no idea. We do this. If you sit there in your meeting and your evaluation and you're the Chicago Bears and you think that Drake May or Daniels, let's assume that's 1, 2, 3, right? Those are the top 3 quarterbacks. If you believe that there is not much of a difference the gap is minimal between those three guys, absolutely trade out of it. 100%. But if you think there's even a decent gap between Caleb Williams and these other two, take the quarterback. Don't outthink the room. Quarterback is everything in this league. 100%. It is everything. So that's the only question I have about the Bears or anyone else is what is your evaluation of Caleb Williams? The raw talent is there. He's as good as anyone that I've seen in 20 years of doing this. The tape itself, there's a lot to not like about it. And so you have to ask the question, are those bad habits that he picked up from kind of having to do everything on his own and kind of being a star? Is that really the way he wants to play? Can he play in the confines of a system? And this is why GMs and scouts get paid a lot of money to make these decisions, because if you draft him or don't draft him, you're going to get cooked if you get it wrong. You're just absolutely going to get filleted. And like last year, for example, like you passed on it, and I know that he didn't go number one overall, but anyone that passed on CJ Stroud right now looks like an ass because he's down there killing it in Houston. And, Chicago, remember they passed on Deshaun Watson, and I know that there was some other stuff that went along, later on, but Deshaun Watson came into the league and was one of the best 5 quarterbacks, almost right away. You can't keep doing this if you're the Bears. You have to get this one right. You know
who their GM is?
It's is it Poles?
Poles.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know where he came from? More importantly.
Is he, where'd he come?
He's a Kansas City guy.
Kansas City guy, yeah.
Mahomes.
Yeah.
And Williams gets compared to Mahomes.
Yes.
He was player personnel when Mahomes was drafted.
Yeah.
So, or on the staff. He wasn't the guy.
Yeah.
Kansas City. But so that's interesting. And the new offensive coordinator of the Bears is Shane Waldron, the former Seahawks guy.
Yeah. Too. So look, this is
I'd just take Williams. If
I
I'm
would
them,
assume
take Williams, but I could see the value of trading. If you like one of those other quarterbacks just as much as Williams, you trade and get some assets and take the quarterback.
Yeah, because again, this just goes down to what your evaluation is of him. But in the NFL, if anyone thinks that 10-1, the most important thing you can do is to find your quarterback, you're fooling yourself. It is. So if you think Justin Fields is your guy, well, God bless America, because I certainly don't see it. But again, I'm not in there on a day-to-day basis. So, don't outthink the room. Take the quarterback, because the vast majority of elite quarterbacks do come at this point in the draft. You can find them later. You find diamonds in the rough. It happens. But if you look through the big-time quarterbacks, they tend to come at the very tippy top of the draft. And it's just 2 years in a row of you being there. You didn't take one last year. Kind of feel like there's some pressure to take one this year.
All right, up next, how Ben Johnson to the Commanders fell apart, and Ohio State about to get a blow. I mean, take a blow.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Do you know what I mean?
I think so.
I mean,
yeah.
It's 3:56 on the Fan.
I'm Erin Hawksworth, here to help you beat the books.
notes. Did you see what Ben Johnson told the Commanders brass?
Oh, I saw. There's definitely a battle of he said, she said, of we didn't want you, we dumped you, I dumped. It's this happens all the time.
There's a lot of drama.
Yes.
When it comes to what happened with Ben Johnson and the Commanders, it sounds like they were close to hiring him, or at least they wanted him.
Yeah, they wanted him, and then there's always more. Like this is the classic. Whenever you don't get your guy, then you never wanted your guy. And when you don't get the job, you didn't really want it. I mean, this is just par for the course, but this one's getting a little ugly.
Yeah, I haven't seen what the Commanders said. I just read a story that Ben Johnson, well, I guess I have seen what the Commanders said because the Commanders would have leaked this.
Yes.
But it's the idea that Ben Johnson interviewed terribly, and he hated the fact that the Commanders guys were all basketball guys.
Yes.
And he called them that. He called them basketball guys because Magic Johnson was in there.
He questioned their football acumen. But
yeah. He said they were too confident in their football opinions.
But let me laugh at this.
But aren't we all?
This is where that is true. Remember, it was at the like a third of U.S. males think they could beat like a silverback gorilla in a fight as well, and like land an airplane if they had to. We're very confident in our opinions. I'm not confident in most things.
I'm 0 for 2 in those.
Yeah,
those two.
I'm like, I'm gonna die in all those situations. But let me ask you this, Commanders: if you were so put off by his interview, right? You didn't want to hire him. Why did you get on an airplane to go fly to see Ben Johnson a second time for a second interview, seemingly to give him a job, when Dan Quinn, who you ended up hiring, you didn't fly to meet Dan Quinn, nor did you fly Dan Quinn out on a private plane. You made Dan Quinn's ass walk through the Washington, D.C. airport because you sent him away. And you could have hired Dan Quinn at any point, but you didn't. You interviewed Ben Johnson, and then you went to fly to interview Ben Johnson again. So if he was so bad of an interview, why? That's a load of crap.
So basically, what you're saying is they liked him.
Yes.
They were going to go see him again.
To give him the job.
He pulled out, and that pissed them off.
Yes.
Because apparently he pulled out as they were flying there.
His agent sent them a text while they were on a private plane flying to meet Ben Johnson, seemingly to give him the bag, which is what he wanted. And Ben Johnson's agent texted them in the air and said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm guessing that billionaires don't handle that very well. And now we get it leaked out that he was such a terrible interview.
So
stop it.
You don't see that often where a guy kind of screws over a team like that.
No,
and so that's probably sour grapes.
Yeah, it's 100% sour grapes. Because again, it makes no sense. Go find the video of poor Dan Quinn being schlubbed through the airport on his own. Meanwhile, Ben Johnson's getting flown privately and they're flying out to see him. You think Dan Quinn's like, once he got hired, he's like, really, guys? Like, Ben Johnson got the private plane twice? My ass has to fly commercial? What the hell, man? They're like, shut up, Dan. Take the job and be happy. You know, just always realize that when these stories leak, they're leaked for a purpose, and it's to save face. No organization wants to admit that they didn't get their guy, certainly to have him stay in Detroit as a coordinator, and no coach wants to believe that he was passed over. You know, this is par for the course. Like Mike Norvell, I had no intention of taking the Alabama job. I'm happy to stay at Florida State and take a big fat raise.
All right, well, Commies got Cliff Kingsbury anyway. Well, they got Dan Quinn. And Cliff Kingsbury. Which is pretty good I'm not going to lie, that's a pretty good combo.
I think so, because Dan Quinn's bringing over one of his guys from Dallas to run his defense, but one of the conditions of Dan Quinn being hired was that they wanted Dan Quinn to run the defense. They wanted Ron Rivera to run the defense, and Rivera was like, no, I can't do both. I just need to be the head coach, and I can assist. I guess Dan Quinn is going to run their defense, and that his defensive coordinator that he's bringing over from Dallas will be his assistant.
That's a pretty good combo, man.
I think so. Look, Dan Quinn did a nice job there. And now if you're Washington, it just comes down to, can you draft your quarterback?
Yeah, find your guy.
If you find your guy and you're going to get, well, I mean, maybe you move up to 1, but you're going to get at least your second pick, and we'll see where that goes.
That division got pretty interesting because Kellen Moore is now the offensive coordinator in Philly.
Yeah.
And he used to be in Dallas. And then, Cowboys lose Quinn, so they have to replace him. Washington gets Quinn and Kingsbury. I don't know what New York's done. They're kind of weird.
I don't know what
they got rid of Wink.
Yeah, I don't know what they're... where did they?
They hired the guy from the Titans,
Oh yeah.
which is not very inspiring.
Did you also hear the weird Vrabel thing that came out over the weekend?
Yeah, that he's too big.
Yeah.
And he's too intimidating.
Yeah. So Dana Rossini, I guess, was talking to the Senior Bowl, and one
I was going to address this in Stockwatch next.
Yeah, someone said that they just thought that, when he's amongst the old white rich guys, that he makes them uncomfortable because he's large and intense.
Yeah, he's like too imposing.
He's an alpha.
God bless America.
Wow.
I love these sorts of things. The way people get hired, and then Stephen A. Smith is claiming racism with the Cliff Kingsbury thing.
Why?
Because he said that Cliff Kingsbury keeps getting jobs based on people he knows and not his merit, and that doesn't happen to black folk, which was nice. I like to see because a bunch of minorities did get hired this hiring cycle, but apparently he's upset that Cliff Kingsbury, who a lot of people wanted to hire, he took the job in Washington from Eric Bieniemy, so now that's racist, just so you know.
All right,
because if Cliff Kingsbury was black, he would not be getting these sorts of things. Stephen A., by the way, just finding out that networking works. It's 2024. When you build good relationships, you have a good reputation, you do tend to get other jobs. Oh, and by the way, he runs a pretty good offense. Which, I don't know if you know, but when you're an offensive coordinator, they like when you run good offenses and you put up a lot of points and help quarterbacks. That's kind of one of those things. But keep going,
Screaming A. Screaming A is always getting in your
Keep going,
kitchen.
Stephen A.
He will. And he will continue to make millions.
And you're blowing it because you can't stay off the weed.
Now you don't have to stay off the weed, man. You can be on as much weed as you want.
Somebody texts, was Ben wrong? Ben Johnson? No, probably not. I got to be honest with you. We thought that this, look, Dan Schneider was a mess.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, one of the worst owners in all of sports.
Hands down.
But this new guy, Josh Harris.
Yeah.
And he's got Magic Johnson there and I don't know who else is in there, but we thought that was a great deal for that franchise, right?
People seem to like it.
Schneider's out. So far, sneaky bad, right? With this drama crap coming out.
A little rough.
And then Dan Quinn, come on. They didn't want to hire Dan Quinn.
No, they did not.
They hired him after everything else fell through. And I think they still got a good coach. I'm just saying that he clearly was not their first choice. They kind of botched it.
Yeah.
And then they have drama with Ben Johnson. I don't know. It's not looking, and then you have the Cliff Kingsbury thing where he's in Las Vegas and you steal him and now you fire Bieniemy. I don't know, man. Things they're looking very Dan Snydery there in Washington.
But the GM they hired, that Adam Peters guy, who's a San Fran guy, they were pretty high on him. People said that was a very good one. So I'll give him that. The head coaching search was ugly, and you ended up with a guy that you didn't want originally. But I think you got a pretty good offensive coordinator. You got a nice GM, and now you got a chance to draft a franchise quarterback. I'm keeping an open mind, but yes, when you're a new owner, you don't want your first couple moves to be so clunky. Like in Carolina right now, Carolina, his name is Mud. That thing has been botched.
David Tepper.
Yeah, and so if you're
well, he's not a new owner though. Well, I mean, he's
relatively new, and since he's been there, it's been. So if you're Harris, just make sure that from here on forth, for the next couple of years, you just let your guys do their thing and just step back. Is the thing, if we're talking about you as an owner on a regular basis, that's usually not a good thing.
Right.
Just step away and let them do their job.
A couple of other notes. Jed Fish has hired Steve Belichick as defensive coordinator at Washington.
Yes, instead of the hoodie, the mullet.
Yeah,
is coming.
Now, I didn't know that. I knew Steve was on Bill's staff and had been for 12 years.
Yeah.
But I did not know he was actually the defensive coordinator.
Well,
and he was the play caller the last 5 years or so, they say.
Yeah, because the idea was always that the true coordinator was Bill. Just like the whole.
I mean, come on, that's of course true.
But
at the same time,
look, you've got. The fact that guy comes from the Belichick DNA and was whatever you want to say about New England and roster building, construction, they can't find a receiver, all that. The New England defense is always rock solid. Yeah. They do a great job. So if you're Washington right now, I think you're thrilled.
I'd hire a mini Belichick.
Absolutely.
At the same time, recruiting I don't see him
It's a little rough, but that's why you got Fish. That's why you got Fish. And maybe the mullet has a better personality than his dad.
Maybe so. Maybe you guys like him.
You just hide him in a closet and you tell him to just shut up and let Jed Fish do his thing.
So at Washington, Am I to understand that Bill Belichick's kid is running the defense and Pete Carroll's kid is running the offense? Didn't they hire Brendan Carroll?
I think that's correct.
I don't know if he's running the offense.
Yeah,
is
he might not be the OC, but he definitely got hired to the staff.
He got hired, but I don't think they've hired an OC yet.
Okay. All right. And then Jay Harbaugh,
Yes.
Jim's kid, is going to be the special teams coach of the Seahawks.
Yes.
Because he worked with McDonald.
No, you're right. OC. Brendan Carroll's the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach for the Huskies.
Okay.
How about that?
I didn't know that he was official.
Belichick's kid and Pete Carroll's kid are the coordinators at the University of Washington.
And that's something. Yeah,
That's wild.
That is a little funky. You think you call in the dads to be
Well, he had the same role under Fish at Arizona as well, so.
Well, I just didn't know he was. I mean, I knew Pete had 2 sons that were in football, but I don't know. They keep kind of a low profile.
Because that was what happened to that? Because there was the whole mess that just like a week ago that they were talking about trying to go get Ryan Grubb to leave,
right.
to go up
get him to leave Alabama.
To go up to Seattle.
Apparently
so
they did not.
But Carroll's kid was hired long before that.
Yeah, he's already been the OC. I guess it's like if they could have gotten Grubb, they would have bumped him. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they just bumped him up.
It's possible. That I'm not certain. I just didn't think he was the full-on OC because there was all that speculation that Grubb could leave Alabama and go and bolt.
So Belichick and Carroll will be sitting in the stands together.
Dude, go get those.
Watching football games.
Go
Give me a documentary
Husky
of them watching
Stadium.
their kids coach.
And Jim Harbaugh. Seahawks.
Go hire him as the analyst. You know, just you don't think that those two guys would be pretty smart coming in and picking up a defensive game plan?
They ain't doing that.
Probably not.
Or
no.
they're probably doing it for their kids for free.
Well, I do remember, and I know that the games have melded way more than they used to, but when I was in Tampa, Monty Kiffin was our defensive coordinator. And dude, he was 1,000 years old. That guy was really smart. He was one of the brighter defensive minds that, I mean, he was
Tampa too.
Yeah, he forgot more about football than I will ever know, and he was just a wealth of knowledge. And remember, Lane Kiffin brought him in to be the defensive coordinator at USC, and he was abysmal. He couldn't handle college offenses. This was back when the spread and the blur offense and chip and all that. He got run out of the building. Now I know that the games have become a little closer, but you know, just because you had success at one. Doesn't mean you're going to have it at the other, because there are two very, very different. It's a different set of games. So just keep that in mind.
By the way, it should be noted in the text police pointing out Ryan Grubb for the Seahawks, not back.
Yeah, we're
to
idiots.
Yes.
He was never coming to the Huskies.
He
It
was
for the
already
Seahawks.
at Washington.
Yeah.
So the Seahawks, not
Yes.
Washington.
Sorry,
Idiot.
apologize.
All right. Oh, one other thing. Big blow to Ohio State. It sounds like Bill O'Brien. So Bill O'Brien left New England.
Yeah.
And he went to be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. Now they're saying he is going to go be the head coach at Boston College.
Because they need one, because the Boston College guy left to take the defense coordinator job in Green Bay.
Yeah, and O'Brien is a Boston native, and apparently O'Brien has a kid who has a brain condition, and he is treated at that hospital there in Boston.
Oh.
And so it's a big consideration for Bill O'Brien to get back there.
Oh.
So, and that would be a hell of a hire for BC, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a blow to Ohio State.
Well, then Ohio State can go get Chip Kelly.
Well, they'll go get Ryan Grubb. I mean, it's just a mess. Like, it's these guys, they'll probably go get – Kingsbury will probably leave Washington and go to Ohio State.
Well, they're going to go work under Ryan Day, a.k.a. Steven Seagal. I guess Ryan Day comes from the Chip Kelly coaching tree, so, you know, there's a relationship there. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they were saying that Ryan Day comes out of the Chip Kelly coaching tree.
Where did he coach for? Was he at
I'm
Oregon?
guessing New Hampshire or something?
Let me look it up. I just saw that the other day. They
Dropping
were talking
bombs
about
on
that.
us.
Day attended the University of New Hampshire, playing for then offensive coordinator Chip
Played for Chip.
Oh, he played
effing
for
Kelly.
him?
Yes,
So he's not really from his coaching tree.
Well, but I think that's what they're saying is that
You guys still
that-
Chip disciple.
he's a Chip disciple,
Maybe kind of.
and he started out. Yeah, he got his coaching career in New Hampshire
Under Chip?
under Chip for like a year or two. So
Who knew?
there you go. So
No wonder he
Chip
sucks.
Kelly, the new offensive coordinator at Ohio State. I love these wild speculations.
Boy, that's interesting. Have you ever seen a head coach of a Power 5 like UCLA leave for an OC job?
He just hates it so much there. He's like, screw this. Like Ohio State blows
He's like
him out.
fine with having less responsibility and going to a better team.
Well, have you ever seen American Beauty?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. When he wants to be the drive-through guy?
Yeah. Kevin Spacey's character just has a meltdown and he wants as little responsibility as possible. So he quits his high-paying job and he goes and works drive-through at Mr. Smiley Burger. He goes in,
I bet you'll remember me this time.
Yeah, he goes in to apply and the guy goes, I think you're overqualified. And he's like, I beg to differ. I have managerial experience. And he goes, I want the position with the least authority and responsibility possible. And he puts him on drive-through. I could see Chip doing that.
Well, I love Chip, and I hope everything works out with him.
Yeah.
But it's not looking good right now.
Yeah, who knows what the hell's going on. It feels like in the coaching carousel is just as crazy as like
it's nuts. It's still
nuts.
going.
It's still going.
It's February 5th.
Well, wait until someone else, gets fired or pulls out or whatever, and then it's just
That's what I
another
mean.
round
If Bill O'Brien goes to Boston College, now Ohio State's got to find a guy, and then that's going to start a ripple effect. It's just like, God.
Yep.
All right. Up next, well, in the news is ahead, but up next is our Stockwatch, what we're buying and selling from the weekend in sports on 1080 The Fan.
What's your Call 1-800-DIVORCE today.
All right, yes, I looked it up. Brian Day was the quarterbacks coach for the Niners the year Chip Kelly was their head coach.
So you got two little connections to Chip.
So they are buds.
There you go.
And then when Chip Kelly only won 2 games, got fired, Day went to go be the co-OC in Ohio State, and he eventually became the head coach.
It's funny, like Chip Kelly's not a bad coach, but it is a little crazy what he did at Oregon versus what he's done.
I mean, he revolutionized the college game and then had nothing after that for the pro game or for the college game.
The Eagles, he did all right.
Yeah, he won 10 games the first year?
Yeah.
And then
he made Nick Foles
since he left Oregon, he went from, oh my God, look at what he's doing, to he has been the definition of, It's weird. That career arc, you don't see that very often.
Lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, from nowhere to Oregon, and holy God, look at this.
And by the way, he won 10 games 2 years in Philly.
Okay.
He went 10-6, 10-6, 6-9, fired.
Yeah, when everyone hated him.
Yeah, that was more than just record.
Yeah.
Anywhoosies, let's get it to Buck here for Stockwatch.
Bro. Got a little NFL potpourri for our Stockwatch. We'll start with some Super Bowl MVPs and a clip that was unearthed or went viral today that I hadn't seen yet. This is Joe Montana at the Super Bowl.
I don't know what made me do it. But one day I hung up and I'm sitting there going, I wonder if these things call out.
Talk about
So
the phone to the
phone. I hit, what do you do normally? Hit 9, right? Gives you an outside line. I hit 9. Got a dial tone. I dialed my house.
And the phone would ring. And I'd pick it up, and it'd be Joe. I go, what are you doing?
I go, hey, how you doing? What are you doing? What are you do? Who is it? What are you doing? Where are you calling me from?
He goes, I'm calling you. I'm calling you to say I love you. And I go, I love you. How are you calling? He goes, they have an outside line. I check in every stadium.
I go, on the sideline phone. I found out that it calls. So I thought I'd give you a call since I'm just sitting here waiting to go on the field.
That's fantastic.
So that was Joe Montana at the same Super Bowl that he picked out John Candy in the crowd.
Dude.
Calling his wife from the sideline, and apparently he did it with about 4 minutes left in the game. And he's like, hey, let's see.
Let me just say for the record, I love Joe Montana, and it bothers me that he has become like a bit of an afterthought. Like we poo-poo Joe Montana. Freaking Joe Montana. What a great man. What a great man. I wonder if this I can call out.
And a great husband, apparently.
Yes.
So buy or sell that Joe Montana calling his wife from the Super Bowl in the fourth quarter even cooler than him picking out John Candy on the sidelines.
No.
If that story is true, and it's been confirmed many times, I cannot fathom that. Whatever it was it 92 yards they had to go?
Yards, yeah.
92 yards. They're sitting there in a timeout, the drive, the John Taylor drive against Cincinnati to win or lose the Super Bowl. And everyone there is pooping their knickers. And out of nowhere, Joe Montana looks up and he's like, hey, look at that. It's John Candy in the second row.
Everyone's like, you got a play call for us or what, man?
And he's like, I got this. And he said, like, John Taylor and other people knew at that moment, they're like, hey, we're fine. I'm sorry, dude. That is the most baller just move. Other than like, hey, the rack in section 302 up there. That'd be the only thing that would be equivalent to that. Dude, Joe Montana is the freaking man.
You said that was in a playoff game?
That was in the Super Bowl.
That was in the Super Bowl. Same Super Bowl.
Same Super Bowl against the Bengals.
No, calling as well. Oh, the same game.
Same one.
Wow. No wonder they won.
Well, we'll move over to another Super Bowl MVP, and this would be Eli Manning in yet another viral clip. This was posted by the New York Giants. Eli Manning trying his hand at rapping.
Are you ready? You ready? Go ahead, Ephesians. I'm Eli Manning. I'm nice. Tom Brady's the GOAT. Sight, I beat him twice. Hold me back. Hold me back. Hold me back.
By buy or sell that Eli Manning should be held back, or buy or sell that he should continue his rap career?
Please stop.
Oh, I think he should continue his rap career. I see a future.
Please stop.
Are you kidding me?
Please stop.
That's great. Eli's great. You love
is.
Montana. I love Montana too, but Eli Manning is fantastic.
He's got a great personality.
Who knew? So Peyton Manning overshadowed Eli for all those years.
Yeah.
Who knew Eli was actually funnier? And he is.
Both of those guys have really good personalities.
And I think people just got so used to seeing that Eli face on the sideline. They're like, that guy can't be funny.
Right.
And he is.
He seemed really boring.
Yeah, the bitter beer face. Well, and it started at the draft when he had to pretend that he wanted to, the charge is where he held it up. That's where the Eli Manning bad fish face came from, is Chargers.
Isn't Cooper really funny?
Cooper's supposed to be very funny.
I don't know if I could pick that dude out of a lineup.
No, you could because he looks just like him.
Does he?
Yeah. And he's got the body type too.
Well, his kid is Arch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Archer's daddy.
So moving over to Washington, you guys touched on this.
By the way, you are I just Googled him.
I mean, he looks so much like them. You could just run into. You could have nothing.
You're a Manning.
You'd see him randomly in the street and be like, "That's a Manning
That's
brother."
a Manning.
I hate to say this, but he looks the most Manning out of any of the Manning boys, if that's even possible.
I don't think that's possible.
Holy crap!
How can you look any more Manning than Peyton?
I think Cooper looks more Manning than Peyton does. That's weird. All right.
So
continue.
over in Washington, you guys touched on this a little bit last segment, but this is a little clip from Dan Quinn's introductory press conference.
I'm going to give myself a little grace and allow one swear word here because I've done a good job so far. I haven't had any, and I swear a lot. But there is nothing I enjoy more than doing hard with good people.
Ooh, what? It's uncomfortable.
Was that an F-bomb?
No, that was an S-bomb. He likes doing hard S with good people.
Hard S. Oh, I thought he said hard effing.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were doing that.
Okay. No, he didn't do that. But
before you get to your stock, can you play that and then fade it down real quick? Play it again, please.
Okay.
I'm going to give myself a little grace and allow one swear word here.
Go ahead and climb out of my ass for a while.
Are we sure that's Dan Quinn or is this AI Dan Quinn?
But there is nothing I enjoy more than doing hard with good people.
Go ahead and climb out of my ass for a while.
It's very
Anybody
similar.
hear it?
Yeah, I hear it.
Yeah, it sounds similar.
Yeah, I got you. Right. I see what you're picking
That's
up.
AI Brian Ferentz, by the way.
So you guys talked about a little bit about the staff that Dan Quinn is building, but also the kind of oddities with how Ben Johnson interview, no hiring went. Buy or sell what the Washington Commanders' new ownership is doing there in D.C.
Buy or sell what they're doing? I mean...
I don't know yet, man.
Last team to hire a coach, but do we like the guy? Do we like who he's building?
Hey, I don't like the vibe. So far, I don't like the vibe because I think the stuff with Ben Johnson is weird.
Yeah.
And I think that the organization should take some, obviously they're throwing dirt on the guy.
Yeah.
And then I think that way they handled their coaching search was weird because Dan Quinn was not their guy, but they settled on Dan Quinn. And I think they got a good coach, but still, I don't know. It doesn't look good so far.
I'm with Rob. I think it's clunky. I like the GM hire. Everyone seems to think that was a way to go, but I think the coordinator thing was funky, but obviously you had to get a head coach. Just when you wait to the very end and you don't get either one of the guys that you were waiting for, and then you start the PR spin, it seems petty, it seems a little rushed, it seems a little non-professional. So, look, again, it's far too early to tell, but I'm with Rob on this one that it just you don't want to see it out of an organization trying to change the culture and get rid of the feeling that you don't know what you're doing. It's not off on the right foot.
And then finally, another topic that you mentioned briefly in the last segment, but want to give you the full quote on it. This is from Diana Rossini, asked about Mike Vrabel on the Athletic Football Show. Don't have the audio, but the quote is this: "I don't think there was a fit for him. I don't think he sat in front of any owner who thought that his style was going to work for what they were looking for. I had a GM at the Senior Bowl who mentioned to me Vrabel's physical build, that he's a very large human being. He can be very intimidating to people in an organization that are going to be part of those decisions, and that is a factor." Buy or sell Vrabel's imposing figure as a reason he's not getting looks for a head coaching job?
That can't be real, can it? That just can't.
Could that just be mischaracterized in the sense that maybe he's just a little too football coachy? You know, like he's just a little too intense,
a little too alpha.
Well, and being a bigger guy, I get this sometimes. How many times have we been out and people are like, I don't want to go up to Suki, he looks mean. Why?
Well, you do look mean.
Well, but I'm not.
You're not, but you have a resting bitch face.
But that's the thing. I think when you're a big guy, I think naturally you have I just think you can put off a vibe if it's unintentional.
Sure.
And then you put someone with Vrabel's and he's got the a-hole haircut, right? He wears the glasses. Like, he looks like a cop, right?
And then you get a rich guy who wants his opinion to matter and mean something and feel like that guy's going to kind of bully him and boss him around.
Yeah, maybe Mike isn't one of the dudes that's very good at kissing ass. Again, he's very firm in his beliefs. Like, he gives you a real, and I've known guys like this, they give you the tough guy handshake, where it hurts I hate that, by the way. Like, it kind of crushes your hand. You're like, geez Louise, or maybe they slap you on the back, and I can see where that comes across maybe it's a bit much. I think Harbaugh's got some of that. Remember the Jim Schwartz back slap? And so, I want to believe that seems like completely silly. But if that report is out there and it came from the Senior Bowl, someone believes it.
Well,
and
to me,
I guess I
a
can
GM
see it.
apparently is what she said.
Well, I think there is certainly smoke to the. There is certainly fire to the smoke that Mike Vrabel is too domineering.
Yeah.
Like, that's what got him turfed in Tennessee. That's not a bad coach. I feel like something weird went down in Tennessee where they were just like, man, this guy, we can't deal with this guy.
Yeah.
And that may be coming across in interviews too.
Yeah, it's possible.
He's just too.
Yeah. We thought he'd get snapped. We didn't think he was going to get fired. It was a bit of a surprise, most people thought. And then everyone assumed he was going to get snapped up, and
he did not.
Yeah. Tell you what, if
Him and
he ends up as a coordinator somewhere, it's going to be like, okay, he's not interviewing well.
Goldberg Jones, when it comes to divorce, custody, or child support issues, trust Goldberg Jones to help. Call 1-800-DIVORCE. Phone questions answered at no charge. Monday Stockwatch. Up next in the news. I guess we do get a report from Souk on the Terry Porter estate sale.
Yeah.
A brief one. And we have a local sports death. Next, here's Buck.
This is a Super Week edition of Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
Brought to you by George McCoy at Warren Allen, Attorneys at Law.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Ryan Buckley with this SportsCenter update. First on the Fan, it is Super Week, the big game between the 49ers and the Chiefs coming your way on Sunday at 3:30. San Francisco remains a 2-point favorite in Las Vegas. Reports out of Vegas indicate that the 49ers are unhappy with the quality of their practice facility at UNLV, saying the turf is too soft and dangerous for the players. A couple notable coaching hires up in Seattle. Reports indicate the Seahawks will hire Jay Harbaugh to be their special teams coordinator. He's the son of Jim Harbaugh and had the same role at Michigan. Meanwhile, at UW, new head coach Jed Fish is hiring Steve Belichick to be the Huskies defensive coordinator. He was previously an assistant under his father Bill with the New England Patriots. And in baseball, Royal shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. signing an 11-year, $288 million deal to stay with KC. The contract has options that, if exercised, could reach 14 years and $376 million. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. The pro football playoffs are here. Watch and wager on every game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Visit spiritmountain.com.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan.
Aloha, Portland sports fans. It's Marcus from the 808. Rah, you looking for some ono grinds? You need some Kalbi ribs, terry chicken, or that katsu from 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. Check them out at Burnside, Woodstock, or online at ate-oh-ate.com. Mahalo.
Hey, it's Isaac Ropp. Now, if you've had enough of your windows keeping the house chilly, then fight the February cold with Window Nation. Right now, replace your windows and save big with 50% off all window styles, plus 0 down, 0 interest, and no payments for 24 months, and get a free Nest thermostat with the purchase of a house of windows. With proven quality and service, it's no wonder thousands have trusted Window Nation. Don't miss out. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
Commercial Industrial Auctioneers is holding their car, truck, and heavy equipment public auction this Saturday online. For information, go to commercialindustrialauctions.com. Oregon's leading heavy equipment, industrial, and liquidation auctioneers. commercialindustrialauctions.com.
At Multnomah Medical Clinic, we use the most advanced form of acoustic wave therapy to treat neuropathy and joint pain by repairing tissue and
coordinator when I was in Tampa. I don't believe that Ray Rose has ever smiled in his life. There are so many coaches in the NFL. I can't even imagine. That you just want to be like, dude, are you just a miserable ass every second of every day?
Mike Zimmer.
Zimmer, yes. Just I don't know. Like, I know you think about it. You make millions of dollars. Like, you've got a good life. Like, why are you so angry all the time? And then I do this because I love you guys. It's like, gee, maybe therapy could settle you down. That's why when you meet a good one like Mike Shanahan I really enjoyed being around Mike Shanahan. He was an intense guy, but his
son seems like kind of an ass.
Yeah. Mike was a good guy. Like, he went home at night and wasn't always yelling and screaming at someone. He let Gary Kubiak and Ray Rhodes do that. Kubiak had that flat top that I think was held up by his anger and aggression. It's just it's a weird business.
Football.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
February 5, 2024, time now for In the News. I'm your newsman. Hello, thank you so much. Oh, wow. Get this. Today is National Fart Day.
Oh. Look, I think we can all admit that farts are juvenile and silly, and they're hilarious. They just are.
Yep.
Everyone enjoys them, and if you claim that you don't, grow up.
First thing my oldest son ever truly laughed at.
Grow down. What'd you say?
So the first thing my oldest son ever truly laughed at. Like the first thing he ever really thought was funny.
Yeah.
Was a fart.
No, I tell the people that don't enjoy them to grow up, because my thing is, like, you're too childish to admit that they're funny. Like, you're like, oh, I'm above that. No, you're not above that. No one is. They're hilarious.
It is also, now this is a little awkward.
Okay.
And I don't know why this is a thing, but it's National Shower with a Friend Day.
Oh.
Yeah. That escalated.
Well, I've showered with lots of friends. Been peed on a few times, peed on some others. You know, it's good times in the shower. Again, one of the very odd things about sports is you see all your friends naked.
Did Suk actually go to the Terry Porter estate sale?
Yes and no.
Right.
I made the attempt. And I said at the beginning of the program, I will admit when I'm wrong. I'm an idiot. You are very smart.
Thank you.
You said that not only was that going to be full of people, that it would be an absolute zoo. And I didn't even get to the Terry Porter estate. There was that much of a scene.
Yeah, well, parking it's
a mess.
I don't know where everybody parked.
The moment you even went there, and you can't really see the house because it's behind like big hedges. Mm-hmm. The hedge game is strong. In the Porter,
you gotta have a hedge game in your rig.
You gotta have a hedge game. Yeah, you can't just be like doing a little looky-loo in there. But the driveway, the moment you got anywhere near that place, there was just a mass of humanity. And then I was on Twitter with a couple different people that actually waited in line to go there, and they were sending me like some pictures, and the wait to even get to the house looks significant. And then the people milling around the property, there had to be a couple hundred. It's insanity. People waited in lines to get in, and once you were there to check out, it was a full-on zoo. Now, to be fair, I went on Saturday. My goal was to go on Sunday when like the good stuff had been cleared out, but I ended up out there on Saturday, so I thought I'd go by and see. And I immediately was just like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Well, hopefully Terry Porter made a bunch of money.
I did see some people did send me the stuff that they were buying, and it was crap. And very normal. And apparently the highlight was Terry Porter apparently big into portable air conditioning units. He had like 7 of them.
Yeah. Well, just in case the AC went out.
Yeah. And by the way, golf clubs were $1 a piece.
Wow, really?
So you missed out on that?
Well, he's probably got really large clubs, being a tall guy, so that would do nothing for me. And I'm a lefty, so I wouldn't have paid $1 for a club. I did see the golf. I saw the shot of his golf stuff.
Yeah,
and I thought it was funny. He had the, and we all have these like the container thing, the bucket of just old golf balls.
Yes,
that he fished out of a lake.
Yeah, you come up with them.
We always do this. I don't know why. I guess it's just we're always offended by the price of golf balls, so we hoard them.
But you don't really play with those.
No, I have a whole, those big I don't know how many gallons they are, but those big orange Home Depot buckets.
Yeah, it's like a 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah, I have one of those full of old golf balls.
And you'll never play with them.
No, I tried to get rid of it on
Craigslist or
Offer
whatever?
Up. I was like, somebody come and get this, and nobody wanted it.
Yeah.
So it sits under my house.
And there's like some top flights mixed in there.
Yeah, they're terrible golf balls.
Some pinnacles.
Stupid. Why? But I'm like, oh, I need that. Why do I need that? I don't need that at all.
You don't.
A longtime Tiger boys basketball coach, Sean Alderman, has died.
Oh,
This was big news today.
That's sad.
He was 52 years old. Nobody.
Oh, gosh, that is really young. I thought he was like maybe one of like those guys that's been around for 40 years.
No, well, he's been around a long time. They said he's been coaching for 25 years, but 52 years old, no cause of death. By all accounts, a great guy, and really cared about the kids,
That's
the kiddies. So
52,
very young, very young. That's like your age.
Yeah. Should we start wildly speculating?
About what?
Oh, anytime someone dies young now, they come out of the woodwork.
He probably got the jab.
That's anytime someone dies. I could get hit by a car tomorrow, and someone would be like,
got the jab.
I think Sue got the jab. Dude, he got hit by a car. Yeah, but
Biden was driving.
Exactly. Got the jab.
All right, coming up next, how do we feel about another tax?
Oh, I love my
You guys
taxes.
want some more taxes?
I often sit there and I think to myself, you know what I'd like? More taxes.
Things cost money.
Yeah.
That's next on The Fan.
This is The Fan's Window into Sports, a view into today's top stories. Brought to you by Window Nation, online at windownation.com.
And leaking out, the Bucks got caught, and Keontae George makes them pay.
Yeah, the Bucks, they actually ended up losing that game to the Jazz. They were up 19 and lost.
Yeah, that's a weird situation down there. That's one of those that all year long, I feel like that's going to be a roller coaster going into the playoffs for them.
The Fan's Window into Sports is brought to you by Window Nation. Get 50% off all styles of windows, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years at windownation.com.
We like threesomes.
The answer is always yes, and it's a wonderful lifestyle.
1080 The Fan invites you to play in the first annual Fan Winter Golf Classic at X Golf Tualatin and X Golf Vancouver, Tuesday, February 27th. We have an early round and a late round at both locations. Danny and Dusty and Isaac and
We are cruising on a Monday. It is in the news, Feb 5.
By the way, Vancouver Ford text line. Rob, just make your bucket a Balls of Prize, the Fan Golf Classic.
A prize?
Yeah, bring out the...
You think that's a prize?
Yes, bring out the ROP, the Home Depot golf bucket.
You can sign them for people?
I promise you that those things will go like hotcakes.
If somebody wins that,
yes,
they're going to be like,
nah, people
what do I do with it? Like, it's going to spill out in my trunk.
Nah, people will love it.
All right.
A lot of people, they don't care what they play. They're more than happy to take it. They're more than happy to take your scraps.
If it's free, it's for me.
Yeah.
The thing was on OfferUp, and nobody wanted it. As a matter of fact, it was such a pain in the ass because somebody would be like, well, can you bring it to me? Yeah. Or like, well, what kind of ball? Dude, just
for free.
They're
no
free.
One came and got
Come
it,
and get them.
Huh.
And nobody wanted it.
Normally a turd will go for free on OfferUp. I'm surprised no one jumped on those.
How do you dispose of golf balls?
You throw them in the trash. You know me. I throw everything away, so...
I don't think you're supposed to do that.
Well, I don't care. You know my philosophy on trash. When I determine it's trash, it's trash.
Well, would you like another tax? Not you. You're in Vancouver.
Yeah.
But
I pay my Oregon taxes, though. Big fan of them.
Well, you're in Clark County, but this will be Multnomah, Washington, and Clackamas counties. And we would be adding a property tax of about 8.5 cents per $1,000 of assessed value to the tax bill. Okay, so that's not a lot.
Yeah.
But it is for the zoo. Are you willing to pay for the zoo? It's a bond measure to give them $380 million for improving and repairing facilities at the Oregon Zoo, the tiger habitat, sea otter habitat.
You know me, I'm torn on the zoo because I like the zoo.
I thought they just redid the zoo.
They're always redoing the zoo. I feel like
how'd they pay for that?
Well, the zoo is like the church. No matter how much money you give them, you need more.
It's like the Golden Gate Bridge. Once they stop renovating, there's something new to renovate.
Yeah. So while I appreciate that the zoo serves a purpose, and I like going to the zoo, whenever I'm there, I'm sad because it just feels like animal prison. And so no. Enough taxes. I can't, no, stop it. And they always tell you, oh, it's just a little bit here and a little bit there. Well, if you nick me 1,000 times, I still bleed. So I'm no. There's always an arts tax. There's always a zoo tax. There's always this. Stop it. The homeless tax.
So it will be on the ballot in May. I'm torn on that one.
I know, right?
I'll vote for it. I mean, I like the animals.
You like the animals? Even though the animals are in prison?
It's not very much. Well, but they're going to be in prison no matter whether.
That's true. So you want it to be a nice prison?
Yeah. Right. I don't want them to be in a crappy prison.
No, that is true.
I'll pay the 8.5 cents.
I do want the nice prison.
Here is someone who's a little bit late to the party, but we'll throw it in here. He was at the Terry Porter estate sale.
Yeah.
Because we were looking for info on that. He said that
showed up at 7:30 for an 11 o'clock door.
Yeah.
That's insane. You waited.
It's commitment.
You seriously? You showed up at 7:30 and you waited till 11?
Well, he didn't. He said the earliest showed up at 7:30 for 11 o'clock doors.
Oh, my God.
He said he showed up at 3 p.m., but the lady at the door said there was a line for 2.5 hours. There's 2.5 hour line. So he was not going to be able to get there in time.
Well, that was the dude that said, the one guy that I was talking to said that he waited 2 hours in line. I waited 7 seconds before I drove away and said, F this. That is stunning to me.
Well, that's one of those where if you get in line, you're committing. Right? You're not leaving the line because you're like, oh, well, I've already been here 15 minutes. I'm not leaving now.
I'm trying to think of anything that I would wait that long in line for, and that list is really small. And to buy Terry Porter's golf balls or portable AC unit, that ain't one of them. Oh, and we have confirmation he's moving to Florida.
Oh, smart.
Yeah. I think he's moving to Naples.
It's warm down there.
It is warm. Although you'd think he'd want to take his portable air conditioners with him. All 7 of them.
Yeah, in Florida.
Yeah.
He might need those. He'll probably just buy 7 new ones. That's how Terry Porter thinks.
I'm guessing Florida has central air. Some of those old homes up there.
Well, I'm sure he has central air at this one here. But
I don't know.
When it goes out.
Those old homes, man.
Oh, come on. You're telling me he didn't have air conditioning in there?
Dude, some of those old homes, man, you can't do anything about it.
It wasn't that old. It's nice. I saw it.
Oh, yeah.
It's fancy.
I got glimpses of it through the shrubs. Again, my take, a lot of people, strong shrub game at the Porter house.
Yeah, you have the, what do you call those? What do you call those?
The arborvitae?
They're not arbs, though.
No, because the shrubs were bigger. It was like one massive shrub.
I love those. They're called, God dang it, I can't remember the name of them. Anyway, why is that important? It's not.
I don't know. But I'm just telling you. That's if you wanted my impression from the Porter estate sale, shrubs.
That's it.
Yeah. Very, very high.
All right. That's in the news, Feb 5, 2024. Up next, the hot 5 at 5. What do we have? We have some more coordinator news. The Ducks land a big 5-star kid. World Cup news. Oh, and one of the teams is already complaining at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're not happy. Although I think they have a valid reason.
So all of that next on The Fan.
When was the last time you did something just for you? Hey, it's Suk for Crunch Fitness. That's the great part about Crunch. You can leave everything at the door and just focus for an hour on being the best version and the healthiest version of yourself.
got some audio.
I caught some of it.
I did too. I told myself, okay, so I saw the ads for the Grammys, and I went, I won't be watching that. Poofed. Sure enough, it got my attention, and I watched it.
I didn't watch it all. With Grammys, I'm a check-in guy. I
watched the whole thing.
Did you really?
Yeah, because you're right. It's like there's some things that you just don't care about, and just it's like whatever.
Yeah, because a lot of that music,
other things,
a lot of that music, I don't even like. I'm like, who?
But
what?
there are other things that are great. It's only about like the Grammys is all about moments. There will be moments that are great.
Yes,
and Tracy Chapman being one of them. But you never really know when those are going to come up, so you have to watch it the whole time.
Although
that's how I view it. So I was roped into the whole thing because I was waiting to see Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Billy Joel performed his new song, which we aired here exclusively on The Fan. You never heard it anywhere else.
And it's wonderful.
It is wonderful, and he did great. He belted it out up there. He's old, but, still Billy Joel.
The nice part about today...
And I had to sift through a lot of crap to get to the Billy Joel, because Billy Joel's right at the end.
Here's the beauty part. When you follow it on Twitter or X, as you go along, they'll I love Miley Cyrus.
I do too.
And she had a whole Zool thing happening from Ghostbusters, and
she looked like a Thundercat.
I just love. That's a good call, Chitara. I love everything that Miley Cyrus has going on, and I did not see Miley Cyrus perform. But Twitter immediately, within 2 seconds, is like, "Oh my God, did you see Miley Cyrus?" And then the video's right there.
True.
So I don't need to watch the whole thing.
There were basically 3 moments. 4. Yeah, 4.
I would say that the Chapman one was probably the one that was getting the most.
Oh yeah,
the most play.
And that was early.
Yes,
Tracy Chapman sang "Fast Car" with
Luke Combs.
And
that I did.
And
see.
it was really good.
That one I did see live.
And
but of course, then that was controversy because people are now upset that it was Luke Combs. It was Tracy Chapman with Luke Combs. No, Luke Combs shouldn't have been the headliner, according to people. That's the big internet. Everyone's angry that Tracy Chapman wasn't getting top billing.
Well, I'm not angry.
No, I don't care.
Then
he did that song, by the way, this year. He put out a cover of it.
We had Joni Mitchell. That was interesting to see her old ass up there.
Yes, and she is 1,000 years old.
Taylor Swift announcing a new album, like shocking everyone.
Well, and going for
while on the stage.
Yeah.
And then you had Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
And outside of that, you didn't miss much.
Billy.
Nah, I mean, he was fine.
Look at you, me.
I know you love him, but come on, that wasn't the greatest. That song is great.
Yeah.
But he's just older than dirt now.
I love Billy.
And then that Travis Scott guy was out there, but I didn't.
Yeah, see, that's
was
one I don't care.
I'm like, who is this guy? This guy's like making a lot of money
He's
off
married to a Jenner.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's married to, I don't know, Kylie or one of those. I don't know.
Anyway.
He's got a Jenner kid, and he's a big deal.
Grammys talk. And a follow-up on Spunky Old Broad. Friday, the poll question was, the club poll question was, will it be acceptable for Sook to call his dog-walking neighbor a spunky old broad?
Yeah. Which, by the way, I was out today. I did not see Richard Simmons out on my walk. It was raining, and, she doesn't like to go out in the rain.
Well, Friday, you panicked, and you did not.
I flailed.
You did not.
No.
Call her a spunky.
We came face to face.
You thought about it.
I thought about it, and I cowered it out.
And I thought that was good. It's like, man, don't call her that. Well, the listeners disagree.
So they're saying
probably because they want you to call her that.
Probably.
And get your throat slit or something. But anyway, we've got that. Maybe a little TV talk. So much stuff in the club. Up next, are we ready for NBA trade deadline week? Because it's here.
Yes.
If you're ready for that.
Portland may not make a move.
And it's about time. And leave it to the Ravens to be the first. We'll get to that. But right now, the Hot 5 at 5.
Hot topics, hot opinions.
Oh, golly, I'm hot today.
And hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
That's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victorico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Online at victoricos.com. Number 5.
The Men's World Cup is coming to Seattle. We knew that. 2026. This is soccer for those of you that don't know what that means. Now we have the dates. Seattle will get 6 games in all, and one of the group stage games will include Team USA. Those dates are July 15, 19, 24, and 26.
I'm going to try to get tickets. Worst case scenario, I'll do a media pass thing, but I am going to get my ass up there. And it's cool because, I mean, they're hosting games in Mexico and Canada, United States. This is one I'm not going to let go by. I'm even thinking about maybe trying to go and see a couple of these, maybe go to a different venue. I would like to take part in what the World Cup has.
I went to a World Cup qualifier match up at Lumen Field in, I guess it would have been like 2 World Cup cycles ago, and just the qualifying was awesome. I would really like to be at the actual World Cup game up there.
And if it goes well, and it should, then I need to just sack up and go actually see it in a country that really loves soccer. I think, like, hearing Joey talk about going to that, like, that should be bucket list sports
Number
stuff.
4.
Mariners bolstered their bullpen over the weekend. They got reliever Gregory Santos in a trade with the White Sox. You probably don't know him, but he's pretty good.
Yeah, there was an article today saying how the Mariners turned 3 red paper clips into a nice reliever.
Red paper clips?
Yeah,
what does that mean?
I'm assuming it was probably that idea of like the guy that started the paperclip and he got a house out of it. I think it was the idea the Mariners like did a bunch of garbage and then found their way into a good reliever.
Yeah,
they agreed with you. He was pretty good.
Yeah, he is good. He got hurt last year, but he's young. Royals hand out the largest contract in its franchise history, 11 years, $288 million to young Bobby Witt Jr.
Are you happy now that they actually paid someone?
Yeah.
Is this the largest contract in Royal history?
I just said that.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said
literally just said that.
Missed it.
But yeah, I'm happy they paid him. I think they. Yeah, I mean, there was some talk that maybe they would trade him or just not pay him because that's what we're used to. At the same time, I mean, he's good, but $288 million? My God.
George Brett is somewhere furious right now.
Slugger Jorge Soler is a coveted free agent. He is currently in negotiations with the Giants. The Gigantes.
Yeah, screw the Giants.
What does Bay Area Rye think?
I don't know enough about Soler to have an opinion on this yet.
Well, he can hit moms.
Well, they need that, so I guess I like it.
The Ducks landed 5-star receiver Gatlin Bear over the weekend. He chose Oregon over Michigan. He is LDS, so he's going to go on a mission. He won't enroll until 2026.
He'll be at BYU. Give it time. Give it time. The Lord will work its magic.
Pretty amazing, though. One of the fastest kids in the country, a white kid from Idaho who was named after sprinter Justin Gatlin.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Dan Lanning's 2024 recruiting class is now ranked 3rd behind Georgia and Alabama.
Yeah.
Ohio State just hired Bill O'Brien as their offensive coordinator. Now he may be off to Boston College. Reports are he is finalizing a deal to become their head coach. He is a Boston native.
The coaching carousel continues. It's crazy. And then, they'll go steal an offensive coordinator for someone else or leaves another gap. It's like a never-ending cycle.
The Chiefs are practicing for the Super Bowl at the Raiders practice facility, but the Niners are at UNLV and they are not happy.
I wouldn't be either. Have you seen the Raiders facility? It's amazing.
Apparently,
the UNLV running Rebels, not so much.
Apparently, they laid sod over the Rebels' turf field, and it's given players footing problems. They have what's called the hardness score for fields.
Yeah.
The NFL's average is 78. There is no field that scores under a 70. This field is thought to be in the 50s.
Yeah, so they're livid. So the NFL said, we can try to get you a different sod field, but we don't know when we're going to get that in or what shape it's going to be in. It's hard to bring in existing sod and have it ready to go. Or they're trying to negotiate some opportunities to go practice where the Chiefs are practicing if they're willing to split it. So, I just like to see early in the week we've already got controversy about the Chiefs being given an advantage. And I don't know how that gets chosen that the Chiefs get the Raiders facilities and
I think because they're the home team.
They're the home team.
Come too far together.
Which I'm not sure why, because the 49ers were a 1 seed and the Chiefs were not.
I wonder if it alternates AFC, NFC.
I think it must. I know that the Niners are considered the road team and are wearing their road whites.
One other announcement from the Super Bowl. There is a Week 1 Friday night game in Brazil this upcoming season. And the league says that the Eagles will be the home team for that game.
Oh, okay. And Pat Mahomes' dad got busted for another Dewey. So there's that.
Cliff Kingsbury backed out of a deal to become the Raiders' offensive coordinator. Las Vegas instead hires Luke Getsy to run its offense. He's formerly of the Bears. Cliff Kingsbury then takes the Commanders' offensive coordinator position, which means Eric Bieniemy becomes a free agent.
Yeah, it's... And I feel for Bieniemy because for all the talk of how great he was in Kansas City, he had to leave to go try to build his own reputation away from Andy Reid. That didn't work out so well, and now he gets dumped for Cliff Kingsbury, and I don't know where he lands at this point. I mean, most of those jobs are already taken, so it's been a rough couple years for Vienna.
The Seahawks are expected to hire Jay Harbaugh as special teams coordinator. That's Jim's son. Comes from Michigan, so he does not follow his daddy. University of Washington has nabbed Bill Belichick's son as defensive coordinator. Steve Belichick joins Jed Fish's staff after 12 seasons as defensive coordinator under his daddy, the last 5 where he was defensive play caller.
So we now have a Carroll and a Belichick running units with the Washington Huskies.
Right.
Yeah.
The offense is run by Pete's kid, and the defense is run by Belichick's kid. And Harbaugh's kid is special teams for the Seahawks.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of famous families running around. Although Fish is going to run the offense. I mean, he'll be the play caller and all that. But it's just weird to think that we've got a Carroll and a Bill Belichick disciple all on that staff.
The offense was ripping.
The Hot 5 at 5 is brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Order now at victorricos.com. Who will be traded on NBA trade deadline day or during NBA trade deadline week? And the Ravens make an interesting hire. We will get to those items coming up on The Fan. Hey, it's Rob sticking around for Now, this pertains to nothing, but I'm going to toss it in right here because it's on my TV screen and I'm thinking about it.
Okay, go for it.
Is enough credit given to this hire? One of the low-key greatest hires in all of sports in the last 10 years or so.
Okay.
15 years. Tony Bennett at Virginia.
It's a valid point because he's the unsexiest hire of all time.
Like, remember when when he was yanked out of Washington State, went to Virginia, we were like, that's weird.
Yeah, we're like, why? Because he had a good name up there at Washington State, and you thought that he was primed for a big job, and Virginia was not considered a big job. And he's had his fair share of egg on his face, but they're good every year, and national championship.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, before he turned into this, he did get bounced as the first 16 to lose to a 1, and then he backed it up by winning a national title. So.
Dude, that's a great freaking hire.
Yes.
And they just showed it. So they're on the TV right now. They're playing Miami, and they're kicking the crap out of them. Mm-hmm. And they're good again this year, Virginia.
Yeah.
And they just showed a stat that said they are 113-2 when giving up 50 or fewer points.
Well, and that's the other thing about them is they play maybe the ugliest style of basketball that you'll ever see.
And that's not amazing in that most teams probably win a lot when they give up 50 or fewer. What's amazing about that is he has had 115 games at Virginia
where
they've given up 50 or fewer.
Yeah. And you would if he played an up-tempo style and had the same success, we would talk about Tony Bennett completely differently. But Virginia is one of those, and I'm trying to think of like who would be there's not one in football because basketball is different. It's a broader pool, but I'm trying to think of an equivalent where, I mean, you've won a national title, you're good every year, but we don't really consider you elite. We don't talk about you as a blue blood. We don't, I don't know. They've kind of, the best I can think is maybe like Virginia Tech back in the day when they had.
You're talking football, right?
Football, yeah. Like it's just, but they never won. They played for a national title, but they never won one. It's a weird little space that they occupy. Like you look at his record there. I mean, it's
what's his record? What's his overall record?
Let me give it for Virginia. Just at Virginia, he is 358 and 130. He has almost a 74% winning percentage.
Yeah, great hire, man.
And he's been to the tournament he missed it the first 2 years, and then since then, they've missed a couple, but I mean. It's full of, I mean, he's just 30 wins, 29.
They're playing Miami right now, and Miami's pretty good. Miami has 25 points with 9 minutes left.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And Virginia only has 49, but again, they're beating them by.
Well, they're doubling them up.
Doubling them up. Would you
love to Tony Bennett?
Would you want Tony Bennett? Like, Kansas can get kind of who they want.
Yes.
You would sign up for Tony Bennett.
Yeah.
Knowing that you are going to be playing games that are 43 to 41.
I think that's a safe hire.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, you know who was mentioned when before Bill Self got the job, you know who they were talking about?
So
who was it was a big name.
This is obviously after Roy left.
Yes.
And you would think you can go get whoever you want. I don't. Who are we talking about?
Tom Crean.
Really?
Yes.
That's who is in the mix, huh?
That's why it's scary.
Yeah. You never know when the guy
just never know.
Well, and
that's why I think Tony Bennett is just safe and good.
Well, you think about from Shaka Smart to, I'm trying to think of guys that were viewed as the next great thing that kind of,
And Bennett would fit us too. Like he's a very. Because, one, we're all good looking, right?
Clearly.
And two, he's, just very humble champion. Like all
we are all good looking as in every male from Kansas?
Yeah, right? You didn't know that?
Okay, just want to make sure.
Dan Lanning? Myself?
If you ask the average person, do you think, the average sports fan, do you think they remember Virginia winning a national title?
No.
Is that the most nondescript
it was a
basketball national champion that we've had?
Well, Virginia is just very... They're just not memorable, even when they win.
Can you
Virginia?
That's what I'm at. Like I'm.
That the only reason
who was on that team?
They had Hunter.
Hunter.
Yeah.
Ty Jerome was on that team, I think.
The only reason I remember them winning was because that game was really good. They went to overtime against Texas Tech.
Well, they also had a wild one against Auburn where they had to come from behind. I think they were down like 10 with like a 90 seconds left or something like that.
That's the one thing, you give basketball credit is I'm kind of looking through, unlike football. I mean, last year we had UConn and you got Baylor mixed in there, Virginia, Villanova won a couple, Louisville got one. There certainly is a little more, Florida won a couple with Billy Donovan. It's a little more spread out than college football. It's not just the.
Well, it has been lately.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at their team.
Because I don't remember. I mean, they were 35-3.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Yeah, they were the number one seed. You just don't. I just remember. I remember more of Virginia bowing out early in the tournament than I do them winning the tournament. It was like, oh yeah, Virginia lost again. Anything of note? Looking through that team.
Well, DeAndre Hunter was on the team.
Okay,
and he went. I think he was a top 5 pick. Really,
is Justin Anderson on that team, or is he already gone?
I don't know. Most of the most of the studs in that game were Texas Tech guys.
Yeah, it's just
Culver and
Virginia. Just kind of it's like yeah, and there's a lot of early season bow outs.
Yeah, Ty Jerome.
So he was
the white kid.
Yeah.
Didn't they had another guy named Guy, right? Something Guy.
Something Guy.
They did, yeah.
they had
Kyle Guy.
Kyle Guy. There he is.
Something Guy.
God, even their names are generic.
Tony Bennett. God bless her. But
Well,
yes,
it's a great hire.
you are correct.
Okay.
That was an unbelievable hire.
Why? Okay, real quick on the turf sitch. Why can't they get the fields right at the Super Bowl? Like, what's going on with that? We had footing issues last year in the Eagles Chiefs game.
Where was that one at?
That was Phoenix.
The one in Vegas now has to be brought in, and I guess this is the larger problem is they put in a new field every year for the Super Bowl, and I don't know enough about grass, but seemingly replacing a field in a couple weeks is a real challenge because you're right. They just don't get it right very often. I was watching the one for this year and what they're doing is they brought it in from like California. It's sitting outside. They get there, but it's not getting brought into the stadium until like a day or two before. But they said that last year. Remember, they said that the company that did that worked a year to get that field ready. And it ended up being an absolute abomination.
Yeah, I don't really get it. But the Niners are pissed about their practice field at UNLV because they laid sod over their turf field.
Yeah, and I guess it's just super soft and people are falling all over the place.
They said there's seams on it. Like you can see the seams too between the sod. So they're worried about guys' cleats getting caught in there.
Dude, wait until the World Cup. Because soccer, the World Cup will not be played on artificial grass. You can't. They have to play it on real turf. And so a lot of these stadiums are tearing up their field turf, or they're going to do this and put it over the top. Wait until the European clubs get to the United States and they're playing on crappy soccer fields laid over artificial turf. It's going to be a thing because seemingly this is something that we can't get right. How many stories do we have to read about crappy fields before someone figures out that whatever we're doing it's not good enough?
I feel like
how does Europe get it right, but not us?
Doesn't it happen at the Rose Bowl too?
Yeah, all the time.
Rose Bowl's always guys are slipping all over the place.
Well, again, anytime you have these big bowl games, they bring in new grass. And honestly, I think some of it is that we have just gone to so much turf field. I think we're getting sloppy and lazy because not a lot of places have real grass anymore.
So they had Roger Goodell doing the the State of the Union type of thing today.
Yeah.
Because they're all in Vegas for the Super Bowl. And he said that they believe a hybrid playing surface, which is turf and grass, is something that they're interested in, and they're looking more into that.
Really?
Boy, how is that going to work?
I don't know.
be interested.
That's what he said, though.
Well, my guess is it's just going to be, you start with a base of the artificial and then the real stuff kind of grows through it, like hair transplants, right? You got your own hair, then you get the other stuff that kind of grows into thicket because people are upset. Like the NFL and soccer believes that there's more injuries and it's not good to play on the artificial surface, but it's so easy to care for, and that's the one that everyone wants to go to. And I don't know, maybe the hybrid stuff does make sense. I'm just fascinated in a league that makes a gajillion dollars a year, that players or owners are so damn cheap that they can't finance a grounds crew to put together good fields. It's kind of stunning to me. Baseball does it.
Yeah.
Soccer does it. Why are we the sport that can't figure this out? And it can't be that hard. We, like at BYU, I think we have artificial grass too, but we had real grass at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. It was amazing. And, even in the winter, Arizona State, go look at whatever Arizona State's doing. Arizona State and Alabama had the nicest damn grass. It was like playing on a putting green. It was amazing. And maybe that has something to do with the weather. Maybe it's harder to grow in different parts of the country. But, dude, when you play on a really good grass field, there's nothing better. Artificial turf sucks. This stuff is better than the old turf they have, but it's nowhere near as good as grass.
Just goes to show the game's rigged in favor of the Chiefs. They get the Raiders facilities, and the Niners got to practice at little old UNLV.
Well, they're saying they may end up getting a chance to play at the Raiders facility too. They're saying this isn't going to.
Oh, they're both going to practice there?
Supposedly that they've given them an option of trying to bring in a new field, but they can't guarantee when it's going to get there or what condition it's going to be in, or they can try to work out a schedule with the Chiefs to let them bus over. They won't be able to use necessarily the facility, but they'll bus over and use the practice field.
I was going to say, it's not like the Chiefs are going to be on that field for 12 hours a day. They'll have a couple hours, and you would think they could spare a couple for the Niners to not work out at the facility, but just to use the field.
Yeah.
Where are the teams staying? Do you know? Do they stay on the Strip, or do they quarantine them way out?
Well, the media is staying at the Luxor.
The what?
Yes.
They're at the Luxor?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
There was a joke going around last week about how much the NFL hates their own media by putting them up in there.
Luxor.
I guess the Niners are at the Hilton Lake Las Vegas Resort.
Yeah, they won't put them.
And the Chiefs are a mile away at the Westin.
Yeah, they'll put them
out.
They'll put them out a little bit.
Make them Uber in there.
Yeah, no, you're not putting them on the
party,
and that they'll have to rent out like entire floors, and there's security, and you're not just mingling with the, with the common folk.
Up next, the Ravens have made an interesting hire, and who will be traded this week in the NBA? It's 5:34. Here's Buck.
This is a Super Week edition of Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
Brought to you by
year after last year's Super Bowl with the Sod Father. I guess
that's George Toma.
Yeah, George Toma.
He was the Royals. Growing up a Royals fan, George Brett was king.
Yeah.
Do you know who was close?
Are we going with George Toma?
Dude, he was a god there.
Really?
Yes, and they had artificial turf.
Yeah.
But he was in Kansas City. I don't remember the story behind him, but George Toma was the guy in charge of the fields out there,
So I guess
everybody loved him.
Yeah, I guess he's known as the Sod Father. He consults with the NFL. He retired, and he was so pissed off about the way the Super Bowl was handled, and now the way in this article he's talking about how new fields being installed, and like the one last year and this year, they're inside stadiums, so they're rolled in, like they're grown outside and then they're put in. And he just says that people just don't take the time and the effort to do what's necessary to get good grass. He even said in this one, they put a tarp over it to try to protect it from the halftime show rehearsals and stuff. And he said the field was actually rotting underneath the turf, and that you just can't do this to grass and expect it to respond, and that there's certain protocols that you have to do. And he basically said that he's retiring now. He basically said he can't stand it anymore, and the NFL can no longer tell him what to do. So he just thinks that.
So he was the Super Bowl guy for I
for
didn't know
years
that.
and years and years.
See, I only knew him as the Royals guy and the Chiefs guy, but he was the Super Bowl guy from 1967.
Yep, and he says I can't take it anymore. He was not pleased with how the league responded to the field issues this year and in the past. He said, me and the league are finished. They can't tell me what to do anymore. We're done. They don't know what they're doing. So my guess is that this guy's probably coming in, and this is the part that amazes me, right?
Beloved.
You got a guy that clearly knows what he's doing it forever, and he's going to the NFL and saying, hey, this is the way this needs to get done, and I understand it's expensive. I understand it's time-consuming, but you have to do these things. And it sounds like the NFL is just like, no. And then you end up with a crappy surface.
Yeah, well, he would know.
Yeah. And my buddy did text, and I got a buddy that's a diehard Packers fan. He said Green Bay did do the hybrid stuff. He said that a couple years ago, doesn't know if they're still doing it, but the grass wouldn't grow late in the year in Lambeau. And so there was nothing they could do. So they started stitching in artificial patches to cover in the dead spots in the field at Lambeau. Because I'm sure that is the thing, that when grass dies in Green Bay in December, you can't regrow new grass. So what do? I don't know. You Frankenstein that son of a bitch, and you put in some artificial turf.
Wow.
Yeah. Because if you've ever played on a rotten, bad field, it's rotten grass is one of the toughest things. Where one year we played the University of Utah for our last game, so that would have been Thanksgiving, and their field had completely rotted, and so they had to spray paint it green because it was just mud. So there was no grass really, and it was spray paint.
You remember when they used to, like the Chargers and the Niners, they'd play on the baseball fields?
Yeah.
And so part of the football field would be dirt.
Infield.
And part of it would be grass.
Yep. They did that in Oakland. They did it in Miami. Like, you're just at midfield running, and all of a sudden, here's some infield dirt.
I think San Diego, too, maybe. The old
San Diego and San
Qualcomm,
Francisco.
Yeah.
That's right.
I played there in college, and it's a hell of a thing. Like kick returners.
That must be so bizarre.
It is. Well, and I know guys are complaining, but I'm telling you, it's so much better than it used to be. We would play on turf sometimes where you could see, like not a little gap, like they're talking about seams. There would be like a 2 to 3 inch gap between the 10-yard line and the 11-yard line where the turf met together, and underneath it was just concrete.
It was cement, yeah.
So if you were running and you put your toe into that seam, thanks for coming.
It's actually, well, not only that, the seam thing I didn't know.
Yeah,
but the if you've never been on the old artificial turf,
oh my God,
dude, you're right. It was like a thin layer of turf over cement.
Yes.
It is hard as a rock.
Yes,
and dangerous. Shockingly hard. Yeah,
and when in the old cleats that we had, we didn't wear cleats. We wore turf shoes with these little nubs on them. And I don't know if you know what nubs and carpet do together, but think about Velcro. The worst video you can ever see. I don't remember what his name was. It was in the old vet. I think it was the Phillies and Bears. It might have been Mike Quick. You can find it. A receiver goes up for Philadelphia, and he goes to jump. for a pass. And as he's going up, his toes get caught in one of the seams and both of his knees dislocate and blow out. You can see it. He just, as he goes up, someone like the turf just grabs him and is like, nope, you're staying here. And both knees explode simultaneously in a non-contact. And that's what we played on. The turf in Syracuse was so bad that we wouldn't, like, it hurt to stretch on. It was so sharp and abrasive that when we went out for pregame and you went to stretch, you couldn't lay down on the turf. It hurt so bad. So we were like, this is seriously what they play on? And they're like, yeah. So after the game, you had no skin on your forearms or on your shins. We were getting like neoprene. We were trying to find, I think our guy like went to like Dick's Sporting Goods or something and tried to buy neoprene sleeves for your forearms and your calves and shins, because the normal stuff we wear, it didn't matter. The turf cut right through it. And Syracuse played on that for years.
Yeah.
And that's
crazy.
and that's how it was. So I know it's not great, but I'm telling you, the stuff they have now is 1,000 times better than it used to be.
The other thing is, last year it felt like, I forget which team it was. It might have been the Chiefs. They were hesitant to change out the
cleats,
their little shoesies.
Yep.
And it's like, why? Everybody's slipping all over the place.
Yep.
Change them out.
Yep.
Or why don't you wear them in the first place? You know it's going to be slick.
Yeah.
I wonder if this year the Chiefs, that could be an advantage for the Chiefs, don't you think?
Yeah, if they're
having done it last year, they'll be ready for field conditions more so than the Niners would
well,
be.
and hopefully the field in Vegas is going to be a lot better. We know that the practice field for the 49ers sucks, but so far we haven't heard boo from the Chiefs. So
I feel like it's a problem every year.
I'm hoping the field's okay because it sucks. I do remember last year the Eagles tackles like trying to anchor and literally just being on roller skates.
Yeah.
And no one loses the game because of that, but you try blocking Chris Jones when you can't dig your feet into the ground. I mean, that's
all
stupid.
it takes is one person to, like you said, rip up a knee, and then all of a sudden it's a bigger issue than it even is now.
The NFL will tell you that there is no empirical data that artificial turf causes more injuries. Just like the NBA says that rest doesn't matter.
Well, I don't know about more injuries, whatever. But you have Travis Kelce blow out his knee because of your turf in the Super Bowl with 150 million people watching.
Yeah.
I don't care which surface has more. That's going to be an issue for the NFL.
Yeah. Imagine Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly.
You imagine the third play of the game, Mahomes goes back, plants his foot into the ground.
Slips and breaks his leg.
The leg goes, and then we're like,
well,
whoops.
imagine it's Kelce, and then all the Swifties as voice of reason be like, wait, hold on a second.
right.
Now, why is it that the most important game in the world wouldn't have the best grass ever? And then we can't explain that to them.
And you think Roger Goodell would like showing up to his New York City offices the next day with all those Swifties out there protesting?
Yeah, you think Portnoy is a problem. Wait for those Swifties.
That's right.
I do enjoy all the I just hope Taylor's boyfriend has fun and all the different shirts that people are putting out there. Yeah, there's some fun.
All right. More on the Super Bowl later this week. Now, we're going to have to get to NBA trade deadline talk tomorrow. Who could be dealt? The Ravens, we'll wrap up the hour with this. The Ravens are expected to make a very interesting hire, and it's about time. That's next on The Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Oregon athletics. Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Okay, which is more shocking? There is a five-star athlete from Idaho. There is a five-star athlete named after Gatlin. Chris Gatlin? Or
Justin Gatlin, world's fastest man.
The fastest guy, yeah. Or the five-star athlete named after Justin Gatlin is white.
Yeah, all of that seems very, very odd. And he's coming here.
Gatlin Bear chose the Ducks.
It's a great name.
Over Michigan.
But he's got to go on a Mormon mission first, so
he'll be gone a while.
And then he'll go to BYU when he comes home.
Mods PDX, the future of building is here.
Yeah. The home of dirt and spray.
I'm dirt. In the midst of being, 14-33 going into the game?
the club. But one last notable notation from the NFL of note is that the Ravens. Now, it's interesting that the Ravens are the first to do this. We've talked about this before. We have talked about this. You and I, we on this show have access to a prominent football coach. His name is Dan Lanning. And he comes on our show every week during the college football season. Okay.
Yes.
He's the one guy we talk to, coach-wise. We've asked him about this, and he was kind of vague about it, but said that he has people on his headset that are keeping an eye on his game management.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Baltimore Ravens have gone as far today as to hire a game management coach.
Yes, that will be his sole purpose.
And this, we've been waiting for this. Like, this was only a matter of time. It's like somebody is going to value game management enough that they are going to hire a guy just for that. And the Ravens are the first to do it. And it's no surprise that it's the Ravens, because I feel like the Ravens, as much as they've been raked over the coals over the last week because of their game plan against the Chiefs, that is a pretty forward-thinking organization and staff.
And they know him. He was their special teams coordinator for like 10 years, and then he retired. He was Denver's interim coach in like 2022. So he's a smart guy. He's a well-respected guy.
His name is Jerry Rosberg.
Yeah. And I mean...
So I don't know what he's going to do. Well, I mean, I do know what he's going to do, but I feel like that's a weird one. Just because things happen really fast during the game.
Sure.
And I also wonder how often a coach or coaches would just
ignore him.
Ignore him.
But it's one of those things, like, let's say, I mean, I'm not putting this on the Ravens, but like with the Lions thing, right? My guess is that he's going to be a guy, and his whole purpose is like, if we get the ball back, he needs to know, whether that's a card, he needs to know, can we run out the clock? With the amount of timeouts they have, can we run out the clock? Or, hey, I need to burn 14 seconds. So you need to tell your quarterback, hey, man, bleed 4 seconds. I don't care if you go back 6 yards every time. We need to bleed off 4 seconds.
Right.
There's things like that, hey, we need to get a playoff here before the 2-minute warning, or don't call a timeout here. Like with the, that was the one on when they allowed Kansas City to go for it. Had with the on that 3rd and what of 11, right? That basically Baltimore allowed Kansas City to throw the ball due to poor clock management.
It was it was misuse of a timeout.
Misuse of a timeout.
Yeah, and it's like, right, you're talking in Dan Campbell's headset, just saying, hey, reminder, whatever you do, keep all 3 timeouts. That's a possession. Keep them.
We have to have it.
Cannot burn a timeout.
Have to have it no matter what. Yeah. Hey, he hears on the clock, hey, we're running the ball. No. We can't do that, because if we don't get in, then we're hooped. You can't do that. So there's things like that you would think that having a guy whose whole mission, especially a guy that's been around the league a lot, now whether or not you listen to him, I don't know, but to at least have that voice in your ear, and he has no other responsibility. Dude, for a league that, again, makes a gajillion $1 what are they paying that guy? A couple $100,000? Who cares?
Yeah, I don't know why more teams don't do this or haven't yet, and they probably will, because it seems smart.
Yes, I would love.
So kudos to the Ravens.
I would love, in a time of crisis, and believe me, having been there, that is crisis. Like, people have no idea how chaotic it is when you're down in those 2-minute situations, and you've got multiple plays that you have to get in at one time. The offensive coordinator is having to think a couple snaps ahead. You got all these different scenarios. You're running guys in and out of, different formations. I mean, it is chaotic. And I don't care as a head coach, if you're people like, how can a head coach be so bad at clock management? I'm like, you exist in that world of chaos, and tell me if something doesn't slip through the cracks. So to have someone completely removed from all of that has no other responsibility, I would want that.
I would want that.
I think any job would, right? Like, let's say in the military, right? If you're in the fog of war and bullets are flying over your head, and you've got a guy in your earpiece that can see everything from the 30,000-foot view, and he's not there taking bullets, and he can be calm, and his whole purpose is to just try to feed you good intel, wouldn't that make sense? And yet, here we are, and this is supposed to be like some sort of like, oh my God, the
revolutionary.
Yeah,
it's like Buck on our show, Yeah. Like, he's our game management coach.
When he's paying attention.
Is that right?
Well, you're supposed to be.
Well, yeah. Break,
terribly
by the
great
way.
at it, but I don't want to break.
Well,
see, there's the coach ignoring the game management.
Exactly. Well, I want to see the first time that Harbaugh throws the game manager under the bus. I never heard that.
Yeah, exactly.
That is his fault. He's the one that told me to do this.
Well, and also I would imagine it would be pretty easy to get fired as game management coach.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of things to consider and probably, like you said, an easy finger to point.
Well, and you're going to get blamed if the execution goes wrong.
That's what I mean.
You know, like it's not just if you made the right choice.
It's an easy guy to blame.
Yeah.
It's like that's the guy that screwed it up.
Yeah.
Jerry.
Blame
the
his
game management dork.
Blame his old ass.
He didn't know what he's doing.
I just never find a situation is made worse by more information. More information, more clear information. I don't know how that can be a bad thing.
Is it paralyzing, though, to some of those coaches if they have too much?
Look, I mean,
it shouldn't be, right?
You can do paralysis by analysis, but at the same time, I mean, just having someone clearly thinking, hey, whatever happens here, you can't do this. Hey, whatever happens here, you can't burn a timeout. Hey, we can't burn enough. You know, there's not enough here that we can burn this clock. Or in Kansas City, hey, it's 3rd and 11. We can throw the ball here because there's no difference in a run or a pass as far as the clock goes.
To me, that argument wouldn't apply because, and it holds no water because all of these things are important.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, like, these are critical little things that may seem little, but they're critical in the outcome of games.
And if they're too overwhelming, then you're in over your head.
And if there's too many of them, so be it. Yeah. These are important elements of winning the game. I know Dan Lanning has told us before, he's like, those headsets are chaotic.
Yeah.
I get that. And it's probably going to be more chaotic with the game management guy, but these are important things to get in.
Yeah.
So I'm not just going to leave it out because the headset's chaotic.
One of my favorite quotes that I ever heard was from my old crusty ass offensive line coach. And you know, you'd be getting your ass worn out by someone who was way better than you. And you'd come to the sideline and you'd be like, dude, that dude's just kicking my ass. And he would look at you and be like, I understand, it's hard. Effing do it. Like sometimes stuff's just hard. Like, and you're right. Either we find someone else to try or you figure out a way to get it done. But I can only really serve one ass. I hate that argument of it's a tough job. Well, that's why you get paid millions of dollars. And when you don't do a good job, your ass gets fired. Sometimes things at the highest level are quite challenging.
All right, let's get to some Grammys talk and follow up on the spunky old broad poll question.
Yeah.
I have the results. It is 5:59. The club is next on The Fan.
Hey, it's Suk here with Steve.
is home to many animals that roam across its plains. But there's just one you need to know. The honey badger lives how honey badgers live, reckless with no left to give.
Where did this come from?
It's amazing.
I think this is day that I was hosting with Souk.
Digging holes, eating beans, breaking tortoise shell with ease, chasing cheetahs, fighting snakes
Slaps.
in trees. Honey badger, party crasher, bunny smasher, that's the mother honey badger. Try to scatter, it's a disaster, because he covered you in fecal matter. No rules, no mercy, no fear, no it's going down when the honey badger's near. When the honey badger's near.
Beautiful.
Damn, dude.
It's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
All I was trying to do was play a drop that's labeled Souk Hot Nuts.
Ah.
And that started.
Yeah,
So I think we've missed.
You wanted hot nuts, instead you got the honey badger theme. You didn't know the honey badger had a theme,
Yeah, I
did
don't
you?
care about hot nuts anymore.
No.
Love
Not just
that.
honey badger.
Yeah, there was
but
another
South African honey badgers.
by the same artist that Souk might remember about how when you're in New York and you see like the air coming up from the grates, how he was wondering if that was urine, perhaps, that was turning into gas.
Yeah, it always throws me for a little bit of a loop when you're walking through like Detroit or whatever, and like the steam coming out. It's always it's an unsavory look.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm sure there's nothing to it, but it makes you feel like you're about to get stabbed.
Yeah, it's very like Pittsburgh-y.
Yeah, I think like Gotham City, like Batman's gonna show up, and if he doesn't, again, you're gonna like get shot in an alleyway. No one's ever been walking at night and is like, hey, cool. There's a bunch of gas coming out of the sewer grates. This is awesome.
Well, we're just moments away from having some of our Emmy content, but this song is from that same artist that did the Honey Badger.
Grammy or?
Oh,
Yeah,
Grammy. What did I say?
Grammys, yeah.
Did
You
I say
said
Emmy?
the Emmys.
Oh, yeah, I meant Grammys.
Feeling it?
Not yet.
Little synthesizer?
No,
You're not feeling the guitar? I like it.
need some horns.
What the f is happening here? What is coming out of the ground? And why is everybody in the city acting like they aren't worried while they're walking around? Ever think that it might be piss? That the underground is turning to steam? Like what if every time you flush the toilet they just take all of the fluid, heat it up and blow it out of the stream? What the f is happening here?
I like it.
There's the horn.
There it is. Sexy saxophone.
That's great. I've never thought of that.
You've never?
No.
Oh, I think about this all the time. Yeah.
So the steam is just.
I found out what is happening here.
Oh, wait. Let's hear
New
it.
York City put some pipes underground so they can carry steam from giant boilers out to buildings that can use it every day year round. So it turns out that it's not really it's just water that they turn into steam. It warms us up in winter and it gives us extra power and it helps us out a bunch when we have dishes to clean. That is what is happening here.
All right.
That's the best informative song you'll ever hear.
They got to the bottom of it.
They did.
They raised a great question
Yes.
and then they answered it.
But can I tell you, I'm still not satisfied with that answer.
You don't think that's right?
Well, I understand that it's right. It doesn't change the way I feel about it. If I'm walking around a city at night and I see steam coming out of the ground, I'm not like, oh, that's just boilers, bringing, warmth to business. No, I immediately am like, someone is about to commit a crime. It's not a comforting thing.
Okay.
I don't care what they say. I'm never going to be okay with it.
Well, now to hot Grammy talk.
Why wasn't that nominated for a Grammy?
What, your
Probably should
commentary?
have been.
No,
that song?
That song that we just heard.
That band gets up there and plays a live performance.
Dude, that thing's awesome. I liked what that had going
Taylor
on.
Swift can get up and sing along to show that she loves music.
Hey, if Taylor Swift was singing that thing would be a hit, guaranteed. We need Taylor Swift singing like The Hole in the Sky Where a Tree Once Stood.
It's definitely true.
Yeah. You telling me Taylor couldn't make that a hit?
Well, it's already a hit on its own, but
Unwelcome sight in the neighborhood. A developer is being greedy. There's a hole in the sky where a tree once stood.
Pause.
Such a lack of life and sound. All that's left
It's like
is
that
bare
dip in
muddy
November
ground.
rain.
A magnificent tree was murdered. The mighty dollar cut it down. There's a hole in the sky where the tree once was. Somebody's making money. Stand up. There's a hole in the sky where the tree once was. Somebody's making money. Laws protect exceptional trees, but the city grants exemptions to
that
these.
song is so
Instead,
annoying.
they reward the
Speak for
developers.
yourself.
Jesus.
Let me ask you this.
What if Tay-Tay put that on her new album? What's that?
Smash it.
What if that's coming up?
It's going to number 1. Is there anything that people are worse at that they do more than make music? I mean,
well,
like I'm trying, like
people love it.
Yeah, like anyone makes music, and
Well, yeah,
not
'cause-
everyone should.
Well, that's fair.
You
but
know,
if they love it,
you know, I'm just saying.
Yeah, you don't have to be any good at it to do it.
It's like that in golf. A lot of bad golfers, a lot of bad musicians out there, but God bless them, they're out there getting it done.
Well, the Grammys were last night. Tay-Tay stole the show yet again.
Metallica won a Grammy. Hello.
What'd they get? The Grammy.
Best rock,
I didn't see
metal,
that.
whatever. Yeah.
Is that one of those they didn't show? Because they don't show a lot of them. They just,
I just saw it, to be honest with you, I saw it on Twitter. Robert, their bass player, went up, and I don't think anyone else showed up because, like, they announced it for 72 seasons. They won, like, best metal or hard rock album. And then there was, like, this weird, awkward thing. And then, like, Robert came running up from the crowd and was like, no, I'm here. And he got it, so.
Well, Killer Mike won for best rap album.
Then they arrested his ass.
And then he got arrested. He was arrested at the Grammys.
Yeah. Do you see what he got arrested for?
I think they said that he got in a fight with somebody. he got in a physical altercation.
Yeah, didn't they say he hit somebody there and they called 911?
Like someone called 911 and he got arrested. I just saw him on Bill Maher not too long ago. It was on just the other week.
I know nothing of Killer Mike. I have seen him on Bill Maher before.
Yeah, he's like a
pretty thoughtful guy.
Well, and he's like a community activist sort of guy.
Yeah. Seems pretty sharp, but
and he won a Grammy, and then
you can't be hitting fools.
No,
out there at the Grammys.
I think he won 2 or 3 Grammys.
I think it was 3, yeah.
I'll tell you what, does that make it a more memorable night? Like when you're telling the story, like, hey guys, I won 3 Grammys. And was that the highlight of the night? Not so fast.
I think now you have to top Will Smith slapping someone and then getting to stay and collect his award.
That is the most amazing.
That's the new high bar, right?
Yeah. Dude, that dude committed assault in front of like 20 million people.
And then he just got to stay.
And no one did anything.
Killer Mike gets arrested.
Yeah. What the hell, Will?
I would say that's racist.
Well, I guess the difference is someone called 911 on Killer Mike.
Yeah.
Had Chris Rock wanted to, Chris Rock 100% could have had Will Smith arrested right then and there. Which I'm a little upset that he didn't.
That would have been cool.
It would have been.
Talk about an all-time moment.
Well, I know
it already was an all-time.
Well, and like I've heard Chris Rock address it, and he's right. Like, Will Smith is like 3 times your size. Which, first off, don't be a bitch and pick on someone that's like a little guy that's not going to fight back. He's not going to get up there and slap The Rock. But yeah, like I think it would have been like if someone hits me and I'm not, and like Brock Lesnar hits me, I'm calling the police. I'm not just going to sit there and let the man get an award. Just sit there and be like, nothing I can do about it. So I guess someone called on Killer Mike.
Well, you have to call the cops if you're teeing up the lawsuit.
That's true.
You know.
And this person is obviously teed it up, whereas Chris Rock isn't going to sue Will Smith.
Right. All right, we'll get some Grammys audio coming up next on The Fan.
It's a super matchup.
Jackson, middle, end zone, intercepted. Turnover, Ravens. Kansas City takes over with a comeback for the ages. The 49ers are going back to the Super Bowl.
Are the Chiefs ready to give the Niners a swift kick?
Do you know you can now bet on whether or not Travis Kelce will propose to Taylor Swift?
Talk about it and get the inside story with Portland's sports leader, 1080.
Even she's tired of seeing her.
You know, he didn't really have to watch it. You could just check social media and you get the highlights.
Yeah, they give you the what have you.
I mean, there's a lot of fluff in there for sure.
But I always like the Grammys just because some of the performances are really good in the speeches. And if I had to pick one award show, the big one, so you got the Emmys, like the Golden Globes, Oscars, Grammys, I would pick the Grammys just because the musical
because of the music. Yeah, live concert by you can see Olivia Rodrigo. Like I don't know much about her. I know her music, but she's not really in my wheelhouse, right? But she gets up and performs Vampire. That's cool to me to see,
well, and like
what she does. And
I always enjoy it too because a lot of the times you can find look, we're old dudes, and so you're kind of out of the loop with some of that. But I remember like one year it was like the Black Pumas. Like I'd never even heard of them, and you're like, oh, who's this? And you hear him perform on there, and then you're like, oh, it's. Next thing you know, you go find a band that you like, and I think I saw the Black Keys for the first time on the Grammys, and you can find some cool stuff.
Yeah, like this.
I don't know if I had an appreciation for Miley Cyrus until she started doing award shows.
Have you ever heard of this Tracy Chapman, this new artist?
Yeah, I think she's brand new. Like just wrote that song.
I bet you there are a lot of people that
had no idea
believe that.
Well, but Luke Combs is a big deal in country music, and this is one of those. Well, you say what you will about it. I'll bet you there's a lot of people that thought that Luke Combs, that was his song. If you don't know, Luke Combs put out his cover of Fast Car, and
by Tracy Chapman,
which has been around forever, and it's one of the great singer-songwriter songs of the last 30 years. And so I'm sure there was plenty of people that were like, "What? Who's this lady with Luke Combs?"
Well, I was also talking to a friend of mine whose daughter was lamenting Luke Combs covering that song.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of that out there too because he's a country guy and she's a black artist, and I think there was this thought that maybe he was taking that for his own, like it's a bit, right? It's like, and so I get that point. I can see why someone would get to that place, but quite frankly,
isn't it an honor to have
him doing that? First of all,
made her a bunch of money.
First of all, him doing that song, it did make her a bunch of money. But I also think he did that song a great service because he did not change it. He sung it exactly how she sang it.
Yep.
And I thought that was cool because a lot of times they'll switch it up or put their own twist on it. He was like, nope, that song's great. She's great. I'm going to do it just like she did it, which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is I always go to the original artist and what did they think about it? And Tracy Chapman has said she loved it and she loved that he did that and she gave the blessing. I don't know if you know this, but Tracy Chapman once sued Nicki Minaj.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Nicki Minaj tried to sample, asked permission, not just took it. She asked Tracy Chapman many times. I can't remember what song she was trying to sample. I think it was "Can I Hold You Tonight" or whatever that song's. Now that's a jam, by the way.
Yeah.
But she said no multiple times, and then Minaj did it anyway, and they settled out of court.
Okay.
But she's like super private. She doesn't. She's just not out for the money and the. I mean, you know how she is.
Yeah.
And so Combs doing that, the fact that she gave him
the blessing
means a lot, I think. And then you saw her last night up there with him. She loved that.
That was to me, that was the best performance of the night. I thought they were incredible together. And
you want to hear it?
Yeah.
You want to hear some of it?
Give me some of that. Because I'm not a huge Luke Combs guy, but
I don't know Luke Combs from Adam except for this.
stuff that goes on. It's just let it go.
Well, it's the country music people, like that's. It's an interesting.
Yeah, I understand.
You got to admit, it's an interesting pair.
But isn't that what we're supposed to do, is to try to bridge the gap? I get it. Like, the biggest country music star going right now went on camera and started yelling the N-word, and it made him more popular than ever. I understand.
Yeah.
I get it. But when... So once that happens, no one in country music, like you're ostracized.
No, I think it's just
and there's like a bridge there that's trying to be being built, and you've got one artist saying, I love this song, it's a beautiful song, and yes, it was by a lesbian black woman, and I'd like to cover it. And she's like, absolutely, and they go perform. Isn't that how you start to make those relations better, as opposed to now people are upset saying that it was Luke Combs with Tracy Chapman as opposed to Tracy Chapman with Luke Combs? God, get over yourself.
Well, some people, I think just the thing is that some people think it's disingenuous, right? They don't, because we don't believe anything anymore, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But she wrote the song.
Well,
no,
his version.
His version.
I think they're saying he's doing that disingenuously. I mean, how could he not be? He's a country, right? Like, that's how people think.
Yeah.
Not that, because he seems really cool too. I've seen interviews with him.
He seems like a super nice guy.
Where he was like, man, I love that song, and that's why I did it, and I think she's a badass, and I wanted to be true to her, and he was and is, and like.
And one of the cool things about the visual of watching that is, like, when she's doing her parts, he clearly has such reverence for her.
He's
like,
looking over at her,
he's
smiling
looking like he's looking at a god.
Yeah, he looked like he was in a pinch me moment that I'm up here singing this with her.
Yeah.
And I thought that's exactly right, Buck. That was a really cool part of that too. Now, the second racist tweets from who's this guy? What's his name?
What?
Who's the guy?
Luke Combs?
Yeah. The second is racist tweets pop up.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
then
and therein lies the answer to your question of why.
Yeah.
Why people aren't buying it. But and I'm just kidding about that.
We don't have it. It's just like there's that connotation. I just don't like when we, in a seemingly world where it's getting harder and harder to bring groups together, that when two people from very different spectrums, again, gay old black woman singer-songwriter performing with one of the biggest country music stars who's redhead, like, when those two worlds come together, it's getting harder and harder to do that. And even when they do come together, we still find ways to bitch about it. It's like, it's cultural appropriation. Oh, he didn't mean it. No, he's just can't we just accept that it was a really cool, beautiful moment and two talented people up there singing a song?
You know what? I got into a little bit of her catalog last night because I just didn't
it kind of
appreciate it enough, and I went back and listened to some of that. That first album, the Tracy Chapman album, the one that she won all the awards for back in that whole album is rad.
Yeah.
My wife and I listened to it last night.
And you kind of had a refresher course, huh?
Totally, because she was like, what other hits does she have? And she had one, what was it called? She won best.
The other one I like of hers is Talking About a Revolution.
That's
a pretty solid one.
Those are her two biggest songs. I mean, to be honest with you, like, those are probably her two only hits. Are Talking About a Revolution and
No, Give Me One Reason was a hit.
Oh, there you go.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Give Me One Reason won best, or what is it? I don't know. She won her Grammy for that one.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was on that original album, was it?
Give Me One Reason was on New Beginning in 95. No,
Yeah.
Fast Car and the Talking About a Revolution were both
on the first.
Yeah, on the first one, 88.
And I think Can I Hold You Tonight, which I think is a total jam. I think that was on the first album too.
Album too, yeah.
When she was doing Fast Car, originally, like in 1988, the story behind her the rise of that song is that she went and played that at Nelson Mandela's 70th birthday in London at Wembley Stadium, right? This is a big deal.
Yeah.
And they put her on, she had just released it, and they put her on early in the afternoon. She played whatever. Well, I guess later in the evening, when the place is full, Wembley, the place is full, Stevie Wonder has technical issues and can't perform. Tracy stepped in, sang Fast Car, and had, I don't know how many people that is. That 100,000?
Yeah, Wembley's 100,000. That's like where Live Aid and all that.
And
stuff.
That's a slow song, and all she just stands and sings.
Singer-songwriter. Had the crowd in
She had them mesmerized.
It's awesome.
With that. And they said that is why that song from there took a giant leap on the charts, and like that's kind of what got that song noticed. Was that performance. And you saw it last night.
Yeah.
She is mesmerizing, and all she does is stand there and play guitar, and it's a very slow, chill song. But man,
she's got something.
She is a badass.
Yeah, she owned that crowd.
She did.
That was
love her.
Yeah, that was really cool to see.
And I think the other thing about her that we like in this day and age of Miley, I love Miley too. I'm with you.
God,
I think she's
good.
great. She does look good. Oh, Miley, she got it going on right now.
Yeah, she does.
She is in shape.
Yep.
She's in her prime.
Like you said, she looked like a Thundercat last night.
She did.
I thought she looked like Sigourney Weaver from Ghostbusters. Yeah,
I think she was doing a Tina Turner bit, maybe.
It all worked. It worked.
Yeah, she had a see-through dress on.
I was on my couch. I may have had to Google some more Miley Cyrus. God, she's great.
Said she forgot her underwear. She did say that. Like, she's a bit of a tryhard. Like, I feel like.
Yeah, she is.
It's like, oh my God.
She
Miley,
tries to be sharp.
Tone it down. And then you see all the Taylor stuff, and a lot of people think her stuff is all just like she knows exactly what she's very calculated. Somebody like Tracy Chapman, it's
great.
There is no frill to it at all.
Got through all the fluff.
Here is my music.
Yep.
This is what I'm doing it for, and that's pretty refreshing.
And by the way, if on the music tip, if you want something good, it's about an hour and 45. Go watch the We Are the World thing on Netflix.
Ooh, yeah,
What do they call it? It's called like the Greatest Night in Pop or something.
Greatest Night in Pop. Holy.
That's a whole nother segment. I can't believe you dropped that on us right now.
Jeez.
I have that in my notes.
It is.
I watched it Saturday night. It's amazing.
I could not get enough of
Absolutely amazing.
I had to rewind to several parts and be like, wait, what?
And you know the best line from it.
Which one? Where are you going?
You
best
don't know
line.
the best line from that?
I'm trying to think of what. Oh, you're doing the Waylon Jennings one?
No, he walked out.
This was pretty good.
What did he say?
He said, "Ain't no good old boy ever sang in Swahili or whatever the hell that is. I'm out."
He literally walked out.
He walked out.
No. The best line in that whole doc came from Paul Simon, who turned around when they were all up on the riser. If you don't know the We Are the World song, they did that in one sitting.
Yeah, at
the
night.
video
till like 7 a.m.
And they were all coming off of an award show, and they were, all those egos. And like, dude, that is worth a watch just to see how they pulled that off.
It's incredible.
And they got done at like 8 a.m. So they're all kind of punch drunk. Yeah. Paul Simon at one point turns out and looks around. He goes, "Man, if a bomb went off in here, that John Denver'd be back on top."
I completely forgot about that.
Great freaking line.
Yeah.
Because John Denver was not there.
No, he was not.
But everybody else was. I don't think Madonna was in there.
No,
Prince wasn't in there.
Well, Madonna was like there. Madonna got replaced, believe it or not, by Cyndi Lauper. They said it was one or the other, and some wanted Cyndi Lauper, some wanted Madonna, and they went with Cyndi Lauper, who I guess is a giant bitch and everyone hates her. And then they were desperately trying to get Prince, and Prince wouldn't come. So they got Sheila E., who was stooping Prince and who was this drummer. They brought Sheila E. in just to try to get Sheila E. to bring Prince.
And she said there was no chance.
And once they found out that Prince wasn't coming, they took Sheila E.'s solo part and gave it to someone else.
Yeah. Well, she said there was no chance he was going to show up to that because there were too many people.
Yeah, I guess he's
just too shy.
But they were holding out hope until the very last minute that they could get. Like, she was on the phone with Prince trying to get him to come.
Yeah.
It's an amazing. It's on Netflix. It's like the greatest night in pop.
Really good.
I couldn't get enough
because they document the whole thing.
The whole deal, and
show stealer. By the way, can I give you a show stealer? Underrated.
Where you got?
Freaking Huey Lewis.
Yes.
How great is
Huey
Huey Lewis?
Was great.
Huey's one. You think you look at all those people in there. Huey Lewis is come on. He's down the rung a bit.
Yeah.
Pops right up on my list.
Huey was great.
Fantastic.
And it was funny that some of the artists that people were blown away by, Daryl Hall, like they couldn't get enough of musicians. When he started singing, they were like, whoa. And Steve Perry.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, that Steve Perry can sing.
Yeah. And you did get the sense that not a lot of them knew that.
No. Like they're like, Steve,
who's this douche? But no, I think there was, to me, it seemed like there was one alpha. In other words, there was 37 of the best artists in the world.
There'll never be another collection like that.
There never, right? All in one sitting. There was one dude who kind of seemed to own the room.
You going Stevie?
Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder.
And he was not nervous.
No.
He was having fun. All the others were like really nervous and like really competitive.
Stevie's got this.
Stevie just walks in. He's like, dude, check this out. Let's add some Swahili.
Stevie bossed Bob Dylan around. That's how big of a badass Stevie Wonder is.
He did. Yeah, no, that is a very good documentary.
I loved it.
You're right. We could have done a whole segment on that. All right, more Grammy talk is coming up next. It is 6:37. Here's Buck.
This is a Super Week edition of Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
Brought to you by George McCoy at Warren Allen, attorney.
band, person, anybody. 4 album of the years. Never been done before. Taylor Swift and no one else. Which
that pissed off Jay-Z.
Oh, yeah. He went, do we have his rant?
No, we don't. I didn't like it.
He's not happy. Well, you know,
I don't know, dude.
At least he was kind of funny about it. He wasn't
funny.
going all Kanye West.
No, his speech was interesting because he got up there, they were honoring him, and he proceeded to piss all over them by basically, he's talking about Beyonce. Where she has more Grammys than anyone, but has never won Best Album or something.
Yeah. And Taylor's got 4. If you don't think that was directed at LT Swizzle.
So he's, I don't know. It's just like, dude, really? They're honoring you and you get up there and tell them how awful they are and how wrong they get it. It's just like,
that's right.
Well, I find the whole thing adorable anytime an award, because it's just it's music. It's an opinion.
And didn't he also say, like, and some of you don't even deserve to be nominated?
Yeah.
Just like,
he said
cool.
Some of you don't even belong in the category. Wow. And that was probably, now that I think about it, that probably was Taylor Swift too, right? Who's he? I wondered who he was taking a shot at there.
I don't know if it's
but I'm not
necessarily
sure.
Taylor Swift, but I remember one year everyone was being all pissy because Beck won Album of the Year over Beyonce.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might have been the one that had Single Ladies on. It was a massive album, right? Like, it was huge. And they gave it to Beck, and just, you know, the Beehive, the Beyonce fans were just incensed. First off, they were finding out who the hell Beck was. And look, I get it. Beyonce is such a big commercial smash, and no one's doubting her greatness. But I did see someone, like I forget who it was, someone in the music business tweeted out a list of people that were involved in the Beyonce album, and I think there was like 27 producers. There was like 17 different songs. I mean, it was ridiculous, right? Just this massive group. Like, she didn't really write songs. She contributes somewhat, and all these different producers and all the different samples and stuff. And then they had Beck, and I think it was all music written by Beck, produced by Beck, and then he had like one person that helped him, and it was like, you know, I understand that Beyonce's was much bigger, but, you know, can we appreciate this too? So, I don't know. It's all opinion. For God's sakes, I remember when I was a kid, Metallica lost, they put together a new Grammy category, Best Metal. It was like the first year that they did metal, and Metallica lost it to Jethro Tull. It's like, what?
Maybe that's what Jay-Z was talking about.
You know, it's look, it's happened, you know, throughout history. It's the same thing at the Oscars, some awards. I bet you if you go back and look at some albums of the year, I'll bet you some to this day are masterpieces, and others you look at and you're like,
Well, the Grammys were good. Good performances. Joni Mitchell was up there.
Boy, am I going to be a big jerk if I say this?
Probably. She's 80.
It's not good.
Well, she's 80.
I know, but
they had her propped up in a chair.
And she had like some like cane, like, and I think she's going on tour with Carlisle. But
she just came through the gorge last year.
God, I'm glad I didn't go. And like, this isn't exclusive to her. I've said this a million times as well. I love Willie Nelson. I've seen Willie Nelson so many times, like at least 20 plus times. Do not go see Willie Nelson, because it's a gong show. You should not go see him. It's that bad. Joni see Willie, Willie see Joni. If they went on a tour together, I'm not certain if you would understand a single word that was sung by either one of those individuals. Like, I get that Carlisle keeps rolling her out there, and it's like her hero, and it's the first time she's performed in years, but maybe there was a reason why Joni Mitchell hasn't performed in 15 years, because it's not good.
Yeah, you are a big jerk.
Well, but
Well, Miley was great. She got up there and did Flowers, which is another great song.
Yes.
I've always liked her. I think she's really, 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 really talented.
Yes.
And I actually think she's way better than Taylor Swift.
I would choose Miley Cyrus over her as well.
She's just weirder. She's not as, you know, her getting up there saying she doesn't have any panties on is, you know.
I also love that.
It's probably not something. That's what she did. That's Andrew Nemec looked at me like, no, that's what she did. Yeah. She's like, oh, I forgot my underwear. Oh. And Taylor would never do something like that, you know. So you can tell she's got a little bit of maybe just a little tay-tay.
She's the antithesis of it.
Yeah, she's trying hard to be.
I get it.
You know, to get some attention away from Taylor Swift.
Well, I guess
but she did a good job last night.
Yeah.
Because, man, she's hot.
Yeah.
And she got up there and did Flowers.
She is working it.
Here's a...
Like, Mumford & Sons, do they really deserve Album of the Year?
Well, they were big at the time.
I didn't even know.
Arcade Fire.
Whoa. Well, I don't know.
Right? Yeah, the one I'm referring to is 2015 Beck won for Morning Phase, and people were not happy that he won that as opposed to...
Well, again.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift. Did you hear the Miley Cyrus French Bulldog comparison? Because I think one of the reasons I like Miley Cyrus is her voice is just so unique.
Yeah.
Raspy. Like she smokes a pack of cigarettes a day.
She got great pipes, though.
Someone compared her to a French Bulldog.
What? Really?
Remember anyways. The journey is usually the part that you remember anyways.
I mean, not bad.
The journey is usually the part that you remember anyways.
She's going to lose her voice, isn't she?
I don't care. She's wonderful.
What do you mean you don't care?
It's
her baby maker.
I love. She can.
I mean, her money.
She can do other things. Her baby maker. Her baby maker works too.
It's her money maker. That's what I meant.
The journey is usually the part that you remember anyways.
I am fascinated by everything that Miley Cyrus has going on.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's good times.
Who's she with? She got
divorced from the lesser Hemsworth brother.
Oh,
that's,
really?
That's the whole this album.
Does she have kids?
No. But that whole Flowers, that was written about her husband. That was the Liam. Is it Liam?
I don't.
Liam, the other, the non.
I think that's the other Hemsworth.
The non-dreamy Hemsworth. Yeah, she was married to him for a while, and then she's like, I'm out of here.
All right. Well, they said 17 million people watched last night, up 34% from last year. So
apparently, she's now dating someone named Max Miranda with two X's.
Who's Max Miranda?
Yeah, I don't know.
He's a lucky son of a bitch, is what he is.
He's a singer, I guess.
Yeah, have you seen the video for Flowers?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You want it to move a little?
Boy, I'll tell you what. She just. You want to because I get traditionally she's not probably the best looking person in the world, but if you ever want to see what sex appeal can do for someone, go.
Yeah, very unique.
Miley Cyrus. It's
Billy Ray too.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, do you know where she gets it? When he starts putting on them jeans and doing that achy breaky heart thing.
Achy breaky heart. Oh my God.
With his Reebok high tops or whatever.
All right, we got to run. We'll wrap it up next on The Fan.
Big game coverage on 1080 The Fan is presented by Solo Stove. Feel the heat of the world's most popular smokeless fire pit. Solostove.com. It's the